Hello?
Bobby.
Dímelo. Hello?
Bobby.
Dímelo. I haven't been able to sleep in the last 3 days. I couldn't sleep last night.
¿Por qué no?
Oh, I was thinking about those pick and rolls, man, one after the other. They didn't have a defensive play. You know, I was saying to myself, why don't they kick the ball or stick your leg?
Papa, yes, you've been saying this for a couple of days. Mom is tired of this as your analysis for a couple of days. That why didn't they just kick the ball all game? That's not a plan.
I thought that was a hell of a defensive play. Are you kidding me? They could have stopped all the points that they score against them, man. I tell you, I mean, that got to be part of the playbook for next year.
Okay, so you're saying just keep resetting the clock at 14 seconds and just see if you can keep the game down to 2-0.
That's right. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I hear that they're bringing the home team back. You know what I mean? They're going to make another run. Yeah, that's what I hear. My sources tell me that the whole team is coming back.
Papi, your sources said yesterday that Mick Harrison left the arena embarrassed in a mustache and sunglasses and a wig.
That's right. I saw him that. He used his secret escape route. Are you kidding me? In case of fire, that's the escape route he uses, the owner uses, just to make sure that he leaves the arena in one piece. I saw it with my own eyes. I didn't read that in the newspaper.
So it wasn't according to sources.
It's a secret call.
Sorry.
What did Barry Jackson say about the game? Did he say anything about the series?
He was complaining about the Dolphins. He was saying that they were going to have, outside of a hamburger place at 2:00 in the morning, a cornerback tryout.
A cornerback tryout. Well, who is it? They still talk about the Dolphins?
Who's they?
I can't believe that. Eh?
Who's they?
The media here in Miami, they still talk about the Dolphins? No, come on, man. They still talk about Shula and the 74 72 Dolphins?
Not the 72 Dolphins.
It's a good team.
The perfect season. Perfect season. Do they still get together, these guys, and celebrate?
It's what do you feel about the Dolphins? You and I haven't talked about this.
No, I haven't. Tua is my guy. He has to wear a bigger helmet. That will be his the solution to all his problems. Tua is my guy.
Okay.
You give him a bigger helmet, and they're competing again. They're in the Super Bowl.
Tua. Okay.
Tuna. That sounds good to me.
Okay.
Tuna.
Okay. Is Mom
back to the Heat? What's going on with the Heat? What is going to be the game plan next year?
No, back to the Heat. I wanted your Dolphins opinions. That's all. Tua is my guy. Is the only Dolphin opinion you have for me?
But what can I tell you? I call it the way I see it. You know, I see big things for Tua, even though he's a little guy. He carries a big stick. He's going to turn the Dolphins around.
So big things for Tua, including a helmet.
That's right. That's my
is
prediction.
Is Mom there?
No, she doesn't want to talk to me. Yeah, she's here. You want to talk to her?
Yes, she doesn't want to. Yes, I do want to talk to her because I don't think she wants to talk to you because of how bad you've been around the heat. Let me talk to Mom for a second.
Hold on for a second. Hold on.
You got to get out of bed,
She's
don't you?
here.
You're laying on your side, aren't you?
Oh, I'm having a margarita now. Hold on.
You're
She's
not
here.
having a
She's
margarita. It's very early in the morning.
Hello.
Mama.
Dime.
Dad said yesterday when I called him, I said that he was very bad at heat games. He's been complaining too much, and he said he doesn't complain at heat games.
Oh, my God. That's all he does.
Who does he complain about?
About everything, especially number one is Poltra.
So he wants
That's
Spolstra.
number one.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we sat next to Poltra's wife? And
Yeah.
he was in the press, and he get down.
He had the press
and
box, yeah.
And then he would go downstairs, and it started in the stairs. Do you see Poltra what he did? He should be fired. I said, Gonzalo, his wife is sitting right there. Shut up.
Yeah.
No, because they put on and on and on every game. Every game.
Billy said yesterday he thought you guys might get divorced after 57 years.
Yes, the heat will do it.
Okay. All right. Put back. Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
hold
Poppy.
on.
Put Poppy back on the phone.
Gonzalo, here. He's warming his café con leche.
His margarita. He snuck a margarita in there.
So that was a hell of a white arena that Mickey was wearing. White hat.
Bobby, you did
Why,
you did not see Mickey
What?
Harrison leaving the arena embarrassed with sunglasses, a mustache, and a wig. You did not see that.
I saw him. I swear to you, I saw him. He was really blending with the crowd. You know what I mean?
Mommy-
he didn't want to be recognized.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
All right.
How was the press conference after the game? Was Poltra on fire?
Poppy, Mom
Yeah.
says
Well,
you do
I
not.
want to know. You are part of the media. You are hanging in there. You know the inside track. Was he on fire? Did he blame the referees?
That would have been funny. For a
I bet
55-point loss.
I bet he said the referees they gang up on
Yeah,
me.
after a 60-point loss, he was complaining about the referees. Goodbye, Poppy.
Okay, bye.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I hear him chat from the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the Wake up, let out the sheets. We can't go on, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the
I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, white girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
How do you guys imagine Nico celebrated last night?
Welcome back, buddy.
Thank you.
How's the tooth? Did you
It's feeling great. Thank you.
did you rush back in just because you were right about the Luka trade? Did you flume in by parachute and then a water slide because of what you said instantaneously that no one else was saying when it regards the Luka trade? Should we do a victory lap right off the top? I don't know how Stugotz is feeling. I don't want him to tear an Achilles or a hamstring or something. He and Greg Cody both have victory laps. Can we do that together? Let's do that together. Let's start off the show.
Haven't they both recently had surgery?
Yeah, they've.
Good point.
I don't know what Stugotz has
Mine
done
was 2 weeks ago.
in his mouth.
yeah.
Okay, so was it indeed surgery though? Like everything with the tooth is now fine with you, and obviously Greg Cody has recovered from his surgery. He's ready to
Have
go.
we seen it?
We have not looked at his belly yet. If you want to show us, if both of you want to give us a victory lap, both of them got something right. I would like to hear both of you do your victory laps together if that's possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm good. I prefer a short one if possible.
Yeah,
me too. Very short.
Okay, so if you guys can go into the other room, we will find out together what you got right. Some people are writing in on the chat, as they have for several days, that my father, they think he is saying pecan roll. A pecan roll instead of a pick and roll. That it's that he's talking about pecan roll. So put it on they're delicious, right? At Le Batard Show, is the pecan roll delicious?
I don't blame him. Like, if you had to choose between pick and roll and thinking about a pecan roll.
It is a true story with my father that he has complained to the owner of the Miami Heat about the media potato chips that are free not having enough potato chips in his bag. It's why he calls him Mickey Aaron Chips instead of Mickey Aaron.
He's working on that. We'll go in. There's something there. We'll get it there.
And he's trying to show. He's doing Mark Norman's show from sheet to stage, like where he's crafting the joke.
He's blaming shrinkflation on Mickey Arison?
He's blaming, in fact, not only blaming it on Mickey Arison, I believe he cites Mickey Arison as ground zero for shrinkflation.
No!
Yes, like that. That's where it started. He was complaining about shrinkflation before anybody was complaining about shrinkflation, but I don't think you can call it shrinkflation when what you're getting is free. Like, it's not. You're getting fewer chips, but all the chips you're getting are totally free.
You got to pick your battles there.
You just need more bags is all you need if you're dad.
I don't think, put it on the poll, can it be shrinkflation if the chips you got were free at Le Batard Show? Because I think those two things are contradictory. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about LeBron James, and we will talk about Anthony Edwards. I feel, though, like I really erred yesterday in not talking more, like really erred yesterday, because the noise of the moment can always catch you, and the drama of the moment can always make it so that you're doing a show without even realizing it that is the easier show to do because you have the sparks of a dad on the court and the controversy of a dad on the court. And I didn't concentrate nearly enough on Giannis's grace, both in that moment and, more importantly, in the explanation afterward, because of the following, everything I'm about to tell you, as Greg Cody and Stugotz get into position. But I really feel like I erred yesterday for this reason. I take a little bit of pride in being able to be at the trough that everyone else is at and be able to see the macro instead of the micro, okay? And I know this part is obvious, but I want to show you how obvious it is as LeBron and Luka are now out, slayed by Anthony Edwards, who the last couple of postseasons has got some giants on. He's got Booker, he's got KD, he's got Jokic. He took out Game 7 on his own floor, and now he takes out Luka and LeBron, and how it is that you become a face of a league, because it requires winning that Anthony Edwards has not yet done, and Giannis has not done enough of to be actually the face of the league, even though his reaction in that moment is exactly what you want as the face of the league. But he hasn't won enough. And I know you know that winning in championships are hard, but just so you know what it does to the body. Joel Embiid, he doesn't have one, off to the side. Kevin Durant has two, but Stugotz doesn't notarize either one of them. The people who have been fighting over these championships, LeBron has 4, seems like not enough. Why? Well, Steph's got a few, and Kawhi's got 3. And so Giannis is only allowed to have 1, and he got it by a toenail. Got it by a toenail. And can't be face of the league. But doing in, what language is that for him, Izzy? Where he's explaining for 3.5 minutes the amount of disrespect that he felt from Halliburton's dad. And I ask you if face of the league Anthony Edwards, faced with similar disrespect, reacts that way to disrespect. Ja Morant might never win a championship. Off to the side. Thanks for playing for a couple of years. Seems like a whole lot of dudes have passed you. It's just really hard. Luka hasn't won yet. Got real close. Congratulations, Luka. You haven't done anything yet. Giannis has won. He's Aaron Rodgers. And he's an immortal. He's playing. You're watching history in real time. You're not going to be able to explain to your kids how he only won one. It's like Wilt winning only one. Like, what are you talking about? He only won one, and now he's got to worry about Wemby.
I'm trying to figure out is it the grace that you're talking about with Giannis? Like what he said after he got eliminated?
I want to get the sound, and it's 3.5 minutes of sound, and I never play it. But when he said, I'm going to address this once, in terms of public relations, calamity, and crisis, how do you want your face of the league behaving so it's not a fist fight in the stands? Because that man had no business on the court, but especially not at that moment when Giannis knows how hard it is to win and how they blew that game. Like, I'm talking about 7 points up, 40 seconds left in overtime. Your team ain't not a good enough number 2. You remember what it was to have Drew and Middleton? Lets the ball go through his legs. No team has ever lost a game that way. Ever.
I turned the game off as soon as that ball went through the hoop when Giannis scored in overtime and they were up 7.
The amount of pressure and rage on Giannis in that moment as he's abiding and eating disrespect from someone's father saying to him on the court, on his turf, might as well go into the locker room. He explained to you afterward the amount of disrespect, and the place that I aired is I had not had that sound yet. I heard all the other noisy sound, and I didn't have the sound where I could hear Giannis in his own voice. In what is it? Is it his third language? Is it his fourth language? Trying to bridge the gulf on face of the league with exactly the behavior you need if you don't want video after a first-round series that was intense. Like so the kind of series that you want, right? The kind of dramatic series, physical series, they don't like each other. The fact that he didn't tear the head off of Halliburton's dad in that moment, just with rage, just with the way rage works. It's a blessing to everyone in the league that we don't have video of that, because that could have been the punctuation on his Milwaukee career, him losing his temper understandably.
You think there's a lot of guys who would have mixed it up with John Halliburton? Because I don't think there's a lot of guys, and I'm not disputing what you're saying here, I just don't think there's a lot of guys who even would have gone face-to-face with him. They basically would have, shoved him away and asked security to come get him. Giannis was face-to-face, and I do give him credit for, in that moment, looking down on him, feeling like I could do anything at this moment and be okay with it, and the world would be okay with it because he approached me, and not really going off and then having, very wise, I guess, things to say afterward. That is something to give him credit for, but I do believe that everything that you're saying is all part of the reason why he needs to be in a bigger market.
That's funny because that's true, but also it felt like a Bane situation in Batman where it's like, I'm powerful, and then Bane kind of puts his hand on the back of the guy's neck and he's like, do you feel powerful right now? Because I can end you. The thing is, Dan, it feels like this generation of the NBA learned from the past generation, saw the Malice in the Palace, has seen all the aftermath of it, and kind of has like a next gear of, you know what? I know what that was like. I can't do it again at this part.
They have deterred it, but that's not how rage works. It's not the consideration of consequences. And if you are feeling, you tell me how many guys in that league, how do you imagine disrespect goes over with the top players in that league that looks like that? Because he articulated the disrespect. I want to go to Cody and Stugotz in a second. Also didn't know until 2 days ago that Bane was Thomas Hardy.
You mean Tom Hardy?
Yes. Didn't know.
Government name there for him.
I did not know that he seemed too thick to be Tom Hardy, and I can't believe that I did not know that Bane was Tom Hardy. All right, let's go into the other room where you guys aren't running very hard. You're jogging very slowly. Are you going to give
It's a Luka pace.
You're going to give your victory laps at the same time? Stugotz, would you like us to play the sound of the original sound, or would you like to just go straight into your victory lap?
I am in my victory lap right now. Greg and I decided on a power walk because you guys were talking for so long. We started off jogging, but we ended up here at a power walk. I'll just play my sound, the sound of me being right.
All right, hold on a second. You guys keep jogging. Put them keep them in the picture-in-picture, fast walking if you want. I don't think they're really running. I don't think that's the spirit of the victory lap. But let's play the original video of Stugotz reacting instantaneously to the Luka trade with a take no one else in the world had.
This is a nothing trade. It's big names. I understand why it's news. It's a nothing trade. The Lakers are not winning an NBA title anytime soon. The Mavericks are not winning an NBA title anytime soon. In fact, I would tell you the bigger trade made yesterday in the NBA was the one that got the Spurs De'Aaron Fox. You want to know why? That team might win all the championships soon. This is not a trade that lands you Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is not getting Moses Malone if you're Dr. J and the Sixers, the missing piece, and then they went faux. This is not that. Right. This is a trade again with two middling teams and two superstars who barely play.
And we're not even into the second round yet. All these players gone. Not playing. Stu has never been more right.
Stugotz, continue to take your victory lap, and while he says what he as he relishes it, go ahead, Cody. You at the same time tell us what it is that you were right about, please. Both of you at the same time. I don't know what your victory lap is around about, Greg. So give it to us at the same time. Go ahead. You go first, Stugotz.
Well, my victory lap was because I said there was a nothing trade at the time, and it proved to be a nothing trade. All the players involved are no longer in the playoffs. Winner.
Stugotz, please tell Greg Cody, who's right next to you wearing headphones, that he's supposed to talk while you're taking your victory lap and talking.
Okay, we're talking at the same time?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And you're not running.
This is a dance club.
What are you doing with your right arm?
You're not running.
When you power walk, you have to stick your arms up.
Are you skiing?
No, but he's using all the. It's
like
a choo-choo train.
here.
It's a choo-choo train.
Right.
Is what it is.
That's right.
Can you talk? Can you give us both your victory laps at the same time? I need the takes at the same time. Stugotz, you go first, and Greg, you start after him, please.
All right, so Dan, I told you at the time, trade deadline, Luka, biggest trade in the history of the NBA, blah, 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 blah. A bunch of nothing players,
Two things
Anthony
about him.
Davis,
Number
Luka
one,
Doncic,
I had him being fired from the family.
I mean, she's
That
a bunch
hasn't
of
happened
bums,
yet.
with the exception of LeBron.
But I also was the first one
again, no one
in
will answer my
America
question. How do you think
to
Nico
legally
celebrated
predict
last night?
that the Falcons and the coach would be fined by the NFL for what happened to Shedeur Sanders on draft night or draft day because he wasn't drafted until the 45th round.
Yeah, right.
And I did predict that immediately. First one.
Way to go.
To predict that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why there's skiing behind you.
I think Greg was skiing, maybe.
He wasn't skiing. He's doing a train, though. It's a locomotive move.
It could be mountain climbing.
It's cross-country skiing.
All right, thank you. Get back in here. The Atlanta Falcons were indeed fined for what I will continue to say was a good prank. And you can't dispute it.
Worth
Strong
100K?
prank.
It's not that it's worth $100K. It was more than $100K. But it's that it will be remembered forever, at least in part, more so than even before, because it was fined and punished, all the more making it a great prank. Now, I understand why everyone's embarrassed, because we all have got to be, football's very important. You got to be careful. Now Shedeur Sanders is human. This one time, now he's now the Sanders family has a human son.
You prank called him.
A great prank. Like, it just can't be disputed. Now, but also immoral and cruel.
It's less of a great prank because he got drafted so late. Like, if he would have just got drafted in the second round, it would have been like, they got his ass. But now you feel terrible for him, and it's just like, ooh, the prank was a bit much, wasn't it?
It's not just that you feel terrible for him. It's that everyone felt terrible for him and forgot the definition of a prank. Like, the prank exists for that reason. Like, that's... By definition, that's how you do it. Now, you can do it better, but the starting point is we all know that's a prank. And the only thing that changed is all of a sudden, everyone in unity on the internet felt bad for Shedeur Sanders, which was really confusing to me.
I mean, it's one thing to fall in the draft like that. When people start feeling bad for you is when people start mocking you for falling in the draft like that.
But you understand my just general confusion on athlete, generally not human, arrogant athlete wearing a face mask tends to be someone we don't like being too famous. Arrogant athlete who goes into a new employer and just insults the employer by being cocky during interviews and falling out of the first round. I like seeing him humbled and, not that much. Don't humble him that much. That's overdoing it.
Which do we hate more, somebody who's that brash or making us feel our emotions?
But Izzy, none of us can relate to what it's like to falling in the NFL draft. We've all been pranked before. And no one likes to be the victim of a prank.
Oh, but
nobody.
Everyone saw that there was someone down being kicked while he was down, and while kicking, people were like, "No, that's enough. Like third round is okay, but this is everybody back off while still kicking."
Well, that's true though. Second round would have been okay, but fifth round, you're like, "Whoa, is this an NFL conspiracy? What's going on?"
My laughter about this has everything to do with the number of people who joined the kicking, and then people started retreating from the kicking the more the people gathered around to kick.
And Mel Kiper Jr. is refereeing the event.
It's so good. All of it. I have delayed long enough not getting to what the Panthers did last night, and they finished all things Tampa in 11 seconds a couple of nights ago. Like that, everything that happened to Tampa is the hockey playoffs fell on them at the end of their dynasty. They are, the Heat's last embers are what Tampa's last embers are, where they start their run winning all their home playoff games, and I think they're 1-9 now in their last 10 home playoff games, and finished by the Panthers, who beat their goalie like no one beats their goalie, just pounding him. And also, people in hockey saying that's the most physical series we've seen in the first round. Bow to it, Tampa. You're finished.
But when you say finished, Gensel, and they're actually, a better version of what they, not as old as they thought, and they fell apart. The Panthers just dominated.
They led the league in goals this season.
Yeah.
And they shut them down.
And instead, you got Cooper saying it's basically the Panthers' time now. Congratulations. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, that was amazing that John Cooper said that, I thought, because he's pretty much handing the torch to Florida, admitting that, look, we had our run. Now this is another team that's clearly better than us. 6 different Panthers scored goals last night. The defense was great. I mean, this team is better. I don't know if you would agree, Roy. This team is better than the team that won it all last year, I think.
They are certainly deeper. They can field 5 forward lines on this team. They got plenty of players. If anybody goes down, they got somebody to replace
Everyone is saying that Marchand is playing great except for Mike Ryan.
No, can I tell you what happened last night? He capitulated.
Wow. Did he?
Well, he had no choice.
Yeah. I mean, Marchand had that one. He had that just stopped dead in his tracks, and then had a feed. Who was it to?
Anton Lundell.
Lundell. I knew it was a little bit of puck luck. I think it went off a couple of skates and went in. But Mike actually said in the group chat, "Okay, that was good."
That's not public capitulation in the group chat. It needs to be everywhere.
It's a big chat.
He doesn't do public capitulation very often.
Marchand played so well last night. We said, "You're not coming in today." We kicked him out today. We said, "Not enough."
He was not on the schedule. He was on the schedule today and then didn't show up. And I'm assuming it's because he was in here chirping. Like, he brought the chirping in here on Tuesday. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Brought it in as a verb. I had not heard chirp in our environment ever from anybody. And it's just because Ethan, of all people, enraged him by just saying Marchand played well last night, and just turned him into a total lunatic. And now he doesn't show up to work today because he doesn't want to publicly capitulate that Marchand was good in the first round. Going into the game last night, I believe, and when you mentioned Cooper saying just having to put down his sword, that coach, that franchise, owned Florida, owned the United States, owned the sport, owned Canada, made hockey matter in Florida. That team made Tampa a hockey town. To have 14 of 15 penalties in this age that you kill, and Tampa only gets 13 shots going into last night's game during those penalties, when it's being talked about as the most physical series, when, I don't know how you guys felt about this, but I heard from a lot of Panther fans, yes, Ekblad took him out and gets 2 games. Good.
Yeah.
Because it's a physical series, and Tampa at the end bows to the physical, and bows in 11 seconds, and bows because they're better at the third period, and they took the series from you in Game 4 in 11 seconds when they scored 3 goals in the third period, their best period empirically for 2 seasons now. They're best in the sport late. And when you've got that hammer with that defense, with that coach, with the replenishments of getting healthier, because Kachuk's been out for 2 months, and that's going to look fresher when it's been out for 2 months, you've got something that handles Tampa in a way that tells the entire sport, reminds the entire sport Last year wasn't a fluke, and hey, we know ESPN that 18 of your 24 experts picked Tampa in this series because you got forgetful fast. How's that for a reminder? Being more physical than that team.
Florida continues to come across as bullies. It's not just the physical play. You had Hagel at one time for the Bolts was trying to get into a fight, was basically telling Carter Verhaeghe, hey, you and me right here.
Yeah.
And they just basically laugh it off.
We broke them.
They laugh it off. And then Kachuk takes a dude out, no suspension, nothing. And then after they take them out in 5, a gentleman's sweep, Matthew Kachuk's basically saying, it's not really a rivalry, is it? And it's not, because since he's got here, it hasn't been. And it's really fun to be a part of just that whole flip.
You say that it's the most physical series. Any series the Panthers are in is going to be the most physical series. I don't think Tampa had anything to do with that. They were just so emotional the entire series. Their coach was, Hagel was, Chernak last night was just broken late in that game, just going after people. And it was just this is what the Panthers do. They
emotional
break you.
Is it. They break
you down and you are done.
No, an emotional series was Florida against Boston in last year's playoffs. I didn't think this series was particularly physical, but the Panthers.
What?
No, I didn't. But the Panthers.
What are you talking about?
Neither did Paul Maurice, by the way. Listen to what he says.
He did say that.
Whenever asked about the physicality of this series, he
but wait a minute.
says that.
Okay, but Roy, you know what Paul Maurice is doing there. Everyone is watching this series and saying it's as physical as any of the series that's being played, and Paul Maurice is just no, playoff hockey. I'm not going to tell you how tough I am.
Actually, I would say it wasn't as physical as previous series that these two teams have had. It was just 3 hits.
Thank you, Roy. What I was going to say is that the Panthers' defense is so good, they made Nikita Kucherov disappear in this series. The mighty Nikita.
Again.
They made him disappear. And
that puck, did he take a puck to the balls? Or was it just above? That looked painful.
Yeah,
I didn't think there's anything that could happen on the ice that would make me say I feel bad for Kucherov. But that was a rough shot he took in the first period.
And by the way, some of the deals they've made have underlined Bill Zito is the best personnel guy in South Florida sports right now, bar none and by far. And the fact that he got Marchand and Seth Jones, the defenseman who's been great in trades for the playoff run, I thought was genius, and it's worked out that way.
I thought he was going to take that a little further than the best personnel guy in South Florida sports. That's not really that big of a compliment,
well,
is it?
he is in the NHL.
That's why he kept throwing in bar nuns and everything else. He said it and he realized. He said best personnel guy in South Florida, and then he thought about it for a second. He's like, okay, that's not going well for anybody right now, not even Inter Miami. And then he said bar none, miles away, hands down. There was a bar none and a hands down.
Yeah.
I believe there were a number of different things, and he was saying nothing. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and have to do this now. I regret having to do this now. Yeah.
Really?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for adding nothing.
What is bar none?
2 minutes.
What is hands down? What is hands down? Why is it hands down? Why is it hands down something special?
I'm on it.
Man, you can put into my veins the look of the Lightning fans with their shoulders just sad and 4 minutes left in the game. The arena's clearing out. They're cutting to 88, sad 88, just looking sad. Shove that into my veins, sad Tampa fans. That was my favorite part, just seeing the sadness on those Tampa fans.
Hands down comes from the world of horse racing. When a jockey knew that his horse was going to win coming down the stretch, he would put his hands down to suggest to everyone watching, hey, we've won this race.
Man down, hands down.
How about that?
Bar none means, without exception, of course, it's believed to have originated in the 18th century with bar potentially used as a preposition, meaning excluding from consideration, accepting, save, but for.
For some reason, Izzy decided to make the phrase man down, hands down, which is not at all the phrase.
No, but that's mine.
There's had to be a jockey who dropped his hands thinking he was going to win the race and ended up not winning the race. That's had to happen, right?
Well, you guys do me the favor, please, of just finding any embarrassing videos where people have lost a race that they thought they were winning with cockiness. You will find many of those, and you could put those on an endless loop on our screen, and people would enjoy all of those.
Getting back to Nikita Kucherov, who will win the Art Ross Trophy this year for most points in the league. He's gone 15 straight playoff games without scoring a goal, 10 straight against Florida. In this series, he's had no goals, obviously, and 4 assists. Itu Luostarinen, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. So basically, and that was in Game 5. So Luostarinen had a better game than Kucherov had the entire series.
I'd like a thank you from all of you guys, by the way, for me, because I...
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, by the way.
Why are you doing a you're welcome to his thank you, Roy?
He asked for it. I mean.
You didn't even say thank you.
You didn't say
it was
thank you,
Izzy who said thank you. You just took the you're welcome. You didn't offer a thank you. You just took from the entire thing.
Well, he is welcome.
Thank you. Thank me. So, yesterday, I watched about a minute and a half of the game. Second period, I was watching some of the game, decided, you know what? I'm going to help the boys out. I'm going to put a couple quid on the Lightning, okay? You know what happens. I bet the team, the opposite team wins. So, put a couple quid on the Lightning. When the Panthers were down 3-2, all of a sudden, bam, there it is.
You know what? Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
You know what? I try to do my best, Dan. You tell me I don't watch hockey. You tell me that I don't care, that I'm Cuban, I don't care. You're right. The difference is I want to help the boys out, and I want to watch a couple minutes, see the feel for the game, bet the team, have the Panthers win.
Congratulations and thank you. You watched 5 minutes of the game.
It's a minute and a half.
You've watched 90 seconds of Panther hockey. You won some money, and now you've walked away from the table.
All right, we can stop talking about these Lightning losers now. Roy, what are we looking at next here? What are we rooting for? We got Ottawa, Toronto playing Game 6 tonight. Toronto was up 3-0. 3-2, they're doing the Toronto thing of blowing it, even though everyone expects them to win. Ottawa has Tkachuk, so we either have Toronto or the Battle of the Tkachuks. What are we rooting for?
Couple of Chuckies cutting it
We're
up.
obviously rooting for this to go 7, right?
Yes, obviously. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter.
I know you want the
Ottawa
smoke.
Or Toronto, just
I know you want the smoke.
Absolutely.
Who would you rather play?
I would. You know, let's do the Toronto again.
So
I want to see him go down again.
I'll take the Battle of the Tkachuks. A little easier path. Tkachuks are fun.
No, we got to do things the hard way, Chris. Yes, we do. We always do things the hard way. And we come out on top. So I say bring on Toronto.
He never shows anything in the way of fear, even though I saw him shit himself and be white during Game 7. Like he just became a white person, lost all of like.
You saw that, huh?
It was weird. It was just fear. Fear swept across him, and he just the way all people turn white when they're most afraid.
You want to talk physical series? Obviously, any series will be physical with the Panthers in the next round. Ottawa, Florida will be a bloodbath. Roy. Bloodbath, Ottawa, Florida.
Yes, they will be bathing in blood.
Okay, that is not what's going to happen. There will be no bathing in blood. There will be occasional blood. I don't know why he agreed with you there.
Yes, he shit himself first and then turned white. Is that what happened?
And you saw him shit himself.
I saw it happen. Yeah, okay. Mickey Harrison then ran right past him wearing a fake mustache, sunglasses, and a wig. My father saw that as I saw what happened with Roy. Roy always pretends he's not scared. And that's fine. That works for him. It worked last year. It didn't work for 30 years before that with the Panthers, but last year it worked. And so he's riding that, and he doesn't want to change his opinion on that. Bring everything that's hard my way, because you will not get a lot of photos in hockey that people enjoy more than Vasilevsky on his knees here, just broken.
Into my veins.
Yeah, Chris is saying sad 88 he's calling him. He won't even refer to him by name for some reason.
He's been bad the last 3 playoffs. I mean, I know it's not huge sample sizes, and it's a lot against the Panthers, but terrible save percentage last 3 playoffs.
I'm going to say it again from Tim Reynolds. Last 25 games Tampa's played at home, playoff games. In the first 15 of them, they were 14-1. In the last 10, they are 1-9, and nobody scores against Vasilevsky at that arena the way that the Panthers do. They've scored 5 or more goals against him now 4 times. No team has done it more. That's how you finish. That's how you finish a dynasty. That's the way that you take the sport from them. That's as conclusively as you can do it.
And Bob doing Bob things. God damn. I love this team.
That save, those 2 saves in the second period. Oh, good God.
I will remind you again because that franchise owning the state and making Tampa a hockey town, to see the Florida Panthers lose to them in a way that extinguished the best offensive season a team has ever had in the regular season. And they blew up the blueprint. Tampa blew up Florida's blueprint and made Florida do this to them. They made the Panthers do this to them by being so great, by requiring the excellence and the vision and the leadership to blow up your whole thing, when I've told you guys in the history of South Florida, bar none, hands down, however you want to do it, I've never seen such a bold move from a management team ever in the history of this market. In the history of this market, to blow up the best regular season offense I've ever seen and the most exciting Panthers team I've ever seen, to say, no, we're going to play a different kind of hockey in the playoffs, and it'll be the kind of hockey that will extinguish even an Ovechkin and Washington in the way they play hockey. To do that, have the foresight to see it, and then to actually execute it requires a bravery and leadership I've never seen from a management team in South Florida, and that's watching a Pat Riley who has no fear about blowing things up when things go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Different philosophy under Joel Quenneville and Andrew Burnett. They were a rush team. They were a transition team. Once you get them on the rush, they would end up scoring with Jonathan Huberdeau, and then they blew it all up when Tampa beat them and became a forward-checking team under Paul Maurice. It was just an amazing thing to see.
So is this the equivalent of, speaking of Luka, of Nico Harrison winning a couple of championships and the Mavs being good 5 or 6 years from now because defense wins championships and they made that trade?
If not so fast.
The Dallas
a little ahead of yourself there,
if the Dallas Mavericks win a championship with a score of 50-47 in a game 7, it will look something like what the Panthers have done, which is, I'm going to say it again just because people get forgetful. Best regular season offense the Panthers have ever seen, and arguably the sport has ever seen. Correct? Like,
Correct. Yep.
To say no, don't want the best offense, which is what everyone wants everywhere in sports. Give me the best offense. Nope. Want to do playoff hockey, want to be tougher than everybody, want to win all the third periods. Okay, good luck with that. Go ahead and figure out how to do that with Jonathan Huberdeau as your best player. It seems impossible. To beat,
yet it worked.
To beat all of hockey at hockey, to be better at management than everyone else at hockey because you have the foresight to say quickly to this man. Who are the teams in football? There is a team that moved away. Oh, it's the Rams. The Rams moved away from Super Bowl golf like that. Like that, they moved away from Super Bowl golf, and you're like, what? Whoa, everybody likes having a quarterback that's safe. Leadership always likes to be protected with, I've got the best offense in the league. I will never do what Nico did and trade my popular offensive thing.
Even the Chiefs, who won that first Super Bowl with Tyreek Hill and won it with their offense, they changed the way they went about business. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, and it became a defensive team, and they won 2 more.
That's a great example, but it helps when you have Mahomes. The Panthers traded for Mahomes. They traded for Mahomes. What the Panthers did, and I know Huberdeau's not Mahomes, but he was the centerpiece of the best offense in hockey.
Probably Barkov, but after this Luka Doncic trade, there's nothing that's going to compare. Like, it's going to be a while before you can say, wow, that was such a bold move, because this one was the boldest of the moves. Like Huberdeau, okay, it was a solid number 2 on your hockey team. That's like trading, I don't know, Kyrie Irving. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's the approach to the game I get. Number 1 offense to being this defense, and that is what's so crazy impressive, additionally, of what they're doing is they weren't good at the end of the season. They weren't playing their guys at the end of the season. They turn it on, they bring the guys right back, boom, they look like that dominant team again. There's
rest
not too many
versus rust.
franchises that can do that.
Rest is winning.
Are we now saying that because they lost in the first round of the playoff that the Lakers didn't win that Doncic trade? Because I don't think anybody else would be saying that yet. I mean, based on one playoff series.
But every season that ends with Luka Doncic looking fatigued, maybe hurt, kind of holding his back, Nico Harrison's just going to pull a Jeremy Taché fist pump, like every single time, because it doesn't matter what round it ends in, that's the ending that he has predicted, and so far he's 1 for 1.
I would say, Greg, that through 4 months, the Mavericks won that trade. Yeah. I mean, there's still time to go here. We'll see how things play out. But for now,
put it on
Nico's
the poll.
Having a good day.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Did the Mavs win the Luka trade?
They did.
That's the thing. It's like, how many times is the season going to end with AD holding his back, too? So it's like kind of a good swap there.
Right. Yeah, if you can promise that AD is going to remain healthy and play 70-plus games a season, then the trade gets a little bit more arguable.
Does Luka think the jersey fully untucked looks good? He rocks that thing a lot. He was doing it late in the game last night. It's just, you look so sad when you're losing with your jersey untucked.
You have it looking good tucked in. I mean,
that's true.
Right. It's not just that it was
get in shape, man.
It was not just untucked. It was also he allowed more layup points blowing by him individually on defense empirically than have been counted in the age of numbers.
Oh, sad 88 in my veins.
Hey, the pitch clock is back on Thursday of this week. And this week we have an ever-competitive trivia game between myself and Chris Cody. Taylor is starting to drive us absolutely insane. But we also have a friend of the show whose name you might not recognize right away in Ryan Bass, but he is someone who has known our members of the Shipping Container and some of our complimentary members here in the Le Batard Show universe for 15 years of his life. So we'll get into that and a whole bunch of different stories across Major League Baseball, including Dan's Tampa Bay Rays and Chandler Simpson, the Colorado Rockies, who are total disaster right now, closers who are struggling. There's a whole bunch of really great stuff going on. So check out the pitch clock on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz and the Le Batard Show YouTube page.
Hey guys, it's Williams Gill here at the Williams Racing Fan Zone at Lincoln Road in Miami Beach. Here checking out the sights and sounds of F1 week here. Come touch the car that they're actually going to race. Don't touch the car that they're not actually going to race this weekend. McLaren, Ferrari, you're going down. That's the word here at Williams Racing Fan Zone. Come check it out. You can drive the F1 track in Miami. You can drive tractors. You can check your instincts and speed. Wow, 4. It's a fun time had by all. Bring your friends, bring your family, bring your dogs, but they can't come inside because there's carpet.
Wants a service dog with Steve-O.
We are joined by a very famous persona from America, and also Steve-O, because Wendy from Peru is an internet sensation. Go ahead and tell the story, Steve-O, before we get in here. And always thank you for making time for us. But tell us why it is that your dog is more famous than you are, because I didn't think it was allowed that you can just find a dog on the streets of Peru, fall in love with it, and then just bring it over to America. I thought Didn't Johnny Depp or somebody get in trouble for trying to bring an animal into the country without the proper permission? Like,
well, that was the other way around. He already had the dog and was trying to smuggle it into Australia. I was in Peru for a mountain climbing expedition, and I found Wendy here on the streets. And fortunately, the mountain climbing expedition was a TV show, and the production jumped through all the hoops for me. So I really didn't have to do anything, and I was able to bring Wendy home. And the video I made about finding her, it garnered over 100 million views on Facebook, making it the most viewed video I've ever put on the internet. And it's kind of devastating for an attention whore like me. I've with the lengths that I've gone to, But there it is, man. So Wendy and I, we are on a rock tour as we speak, barreling towards Syracuse for a show tonight, and we've got shows every single night in the Northeast U.S. For the next 12 days. Albany tomorrow night.
This video is adorable. Is Wendy's a service animal?
She is. You bet she is. Yeah, because I have terrible issues.
You should take more dogs, though. I mean, it seems to be working for you.
I have terrible issues is a great sentence that would explain the last 25 years of your life. You've done great sort of capitalizing on, let me take a tour bus through my terrible issues.
Right. That's about right, man. I have terrible issues.
and she brings you genuine comfort she's not a professional service dog license, and you've got the proper paperwork. Steve-O is now a paperwork man with a legitimate service dog that he needs for comfort.
You know what? I'm going to break your guy's heart right here. There's no such thing as official certification for a service animal. Huh. And because I did the deepest dive, man. I found the best dog trainer on the planet, and they were the ones who told me, yeah, there's no such thing as official certification. We can sure train her, but that's never. I got a note from my doctor. I got some weird thing online that means nothing, which says certified service animal, but yeah, there's no such thing. You can ask a blind person with a seeing eye dog, and they'll tell you that there's no such thing.
More to the point.
So we make fun of. Yeah, we travel around and we make fun of service dog vests.
I just figure that you find genuine comfort here, and people might be surprised to learn that one of a man who has been so fearless in his life would admit to needing the love of a dog to temper his issues. That's real adult, grown-up introspection one of the Jackass guys is doing.
All right. I mean, hey, I'm happy to admit that for sure. And the federal law requires that a service animal be trained to assist somebody with a disability, although the law does not require the person to explain what the disability is. Now, when you ask me what Wendy's trained to do, she is a mobility assist dog. And what that means is she gets me where I'm going because I'm not going anywhere without her.
Nice. That's why you got 100 million views. That's because people love dogs and love the story of you just found a dog in Peru and fell in love.
Well, Steve-O, are you certain there's no one in Peru looking for their dog named Wendy? I mean,
I am. I'm very certain.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, Steve-O.
Okay, thank you, thank you, Stugotz. So you are now touring the country. Tell me about what this portion of your life looks like. Could you have imagined 15 years ago that you'd be on a tour bus, not having to break your spleen doing something?
Well, it's bittersweet. I am on a gorgeous tour bus, and the tour I'm on is called the Bucket List Tour, and what that is sort of spleen breaking stuff. However, I shot it all for the tour ahead of time. It was stuff that I would never be allowed to do for Jackass, like having general anesthesia drugs administered through an IV while I was riding a bicycle, and I got another medical professional I got another medical professional to put a 4-inch needle into my spine and inject a drug into my spinal cavity to paralyze me from the waist down while I was in a full sprint. I had another one where I had another one where I was butt naked in an airplane and quite literally servicing myself with a guy strapped to my back. And as I fell out of the airplane, I was ejaculating, which I'm pretty proud of.
Oh, geez.
So it's a XXX rated show loaded with.
This episode is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Number of different things that I want to talk about with Pablo Torre. His award-winning podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, pales in comparison to Greg Cody's awards. Greg Cody came in today swaggering, saying that the 2025 FAF something or another awards have been announced, and he has done something in one of those awards. What have you won?
It's actually it has a name. It's the FSNE.
Talking to the mic.
Florida Society of News Editors. It's just a state award, but they named me the column writing winner, and the reason that means something to me is that it's not just sports columns. It's Metro columns and all sorts of columns.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about it.
So you are the best columnist in Florida, in the state of Florida.
That's what they say.
Yes.
Of any kind.
Yes.
Of any kind.
Well,
of any subject.
I didn't even know I'd been nominated. I have no idea what columns won. They told me, and
you sound like a champagne bottle opening. Like it's just effervescent spewing all over everyone. Congratulations on winning an award that you were bored to tell us what the acronym was for.
Okay. Florida Society of News Editors, FSNE. I believe I mentioned that. Roll back the tape. But
it's just bored. You mentioned it, but your tone, the undercurrent was just indifferent. Pablo, do you have any thoughts?
Well, time out. Hold on. This is on.
It just feels. Hold on. I got to side with Dan here. Whenever someone says, quote, so ... I'm happy about it. Feels like you can't be all that happy about it if that's the dismount.
I'm pleased, but I'm not gonna oversell it.
I'm pleased.
It's a state award.
Greg, say what you want to say. The way Dan entered into that conversation, not knowing the FSNE, when he damn well knows who the FSNE is.
I did.
He used to be a columnist.
Yeah. That was disrespectful. I did John Halliburton that. Like, that was disrespectful, but I really didn't know what the acronym was.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I didn't know.
Yeah, perhaps you would have Googled it and got it right, but, that's you. That's not
well,
on
but
me.
I thought it was a Lobos award for the first half of what Greg's wind-up was. I was like, are we talking about the Lobos again?
Because he came in here and he said, I've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and he opens with the FS whatever awards were announced. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, why are you telling us about that? And the answer is because I wanted column writing.
Well, first of all, that's not true. Anything you just said, I didn't lead with that. That was like the 8th or 9th item on my list of topics. Let me count. Let me tell you exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Go ahead.
It was 5th. It was the first item.
Yeah. It was.
Is there a back in my day there on your list of topics?
It's Thursday.
Okay, no. So, all right. So, what are the top 4? Give me the top 4.
Is there a Peabody nomination on that list somewhere? Maybe number 3?
There isn't. Which is why I'm only pleased and not ebullient.
Your right glass lens is fogging up again.
That happens to me when I get agitated.
When you win column awards. What are your first 4 topics? Let's see if Pablo bites on any of them.
Well, the first one was I have a bag of old shirts, and I'm not quite sure why. the second one was Lionel Messi and Inter Miami imploding in an embarrassing ouster from the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Just embarrassing the way they lost that. And all of a sudden, Lionel Messi and that team looked very, very old. And Vancouver ran all over them and around them. My third item, we've talked about this a lot, was the Florida Panthers declaring with intent and ability that they can repeat as Stanley Cup champs. And I'm the one who prefers Toronto in the second round, not Ottawa. Ottawa would be the great brother versus brother. Toronto Maple Leafs fans are chirping loudly all over social media. We want the Panthers.
Are they saying that?
Yes. And you know what? Two things. Number one, how about you get past Ottawa first? And number two, the Panthers rolled you out of the playoffs last year, and the Panthers would love to play Toronto again. The next item is the Miami Grand Prix is Sunday in Miami, and the only two F1 drivers that anybody can name are not the favorite, which is good for the sport. And then comes my award, which is a state award, and I'm not overselling it. Just pleased.
What came after the award?
Gold.
Oh, the Belichick girlfriend drama getting better and better. I mean, this is great.
He came loaded today, by the way.
You left one out. I mean, the statue conversation.
Oh, that's
we don't have to have that one.
Yeah.
He's got a controversial opinion on statues. Pablo, you were about to say?
Yeah, I obviously vote to find out about those shirts.
Oh,
okay.
So did I, by the way.
All right, so let's do this. Do any of you believe you have older shirts than Greg Cody has? All right, let's get in position for this. And as filibuster, as we get into position, everyone get their T-shirts ready, their old T-shirts ready, or their old clothes ready. I do want to play this sound for Pablo, and I don't know if Pablo has in his home. He's in his home. Pablo, you can go to another room if you've already heard this Giannis sound and get your oldest shirts.
I got Dan. You're talking to a guy with a bag of stuff.
Okay.
I find out stuff out of this closet, which is a closet full of bags of old stuff. So I'm ready for whenever you guys are ready.
So excellent. So it sounds like people are prepared. In the interim, though, I want to play for you something. I don't do this very often. I'm going to play 3.5 minutes or so of sound of Giannis talking here because I believe that he diffused a bomb in a way that was really graceful because in a different language than is his preferred language and I think is his third or fourth language, he walked through crisis in a way that was honest and vulnerable and showed great grace to someone who had disrespected him in front of people and then afterward, in the emotion of it, handled it exactly the way that anyone would want the face of the league to handle something. Listen to the grace that he shows in telling you, my story is a one-in-a-lifetime story, and you have insulted both me and my late father when, as a father, you come out on the court as the guy's father to the guy who just beat me and is standing on a table because my team just choked away a game the way the basketball has never seen, possibly ending my career and my relationship with a city and Milwaukee that is as strong as the one that Luka has in Dallas. And in that moment of rage, this is how that man calms himself down and speaks on behalf of his family, his teammates, champions everywhere, and a league.
This is the last time I'm going to say. I won't talk a lot. We lost the game. It doesn't really matter. One thing I'll say is that I believe like being humble in victory. That's how I am. Now there can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you gotta talk shit, and you know it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. Okay, and that doesn't even say anything. I'm not trying to minimize their effort, but I remember when I won, my mom that she's never missed the games from February 11th or 13th when she came in Milwaukee against the Knicks. She never missed a game. When we won the championship, I remember my mom, she was scared to cross. She was like, am I allowed to come and hug my son? I see, except now my brother does media. For this year, he wants to come back and play. But like, except in that, you've never seen my family like see courtside. See, this is not something that we do. We don't. I try to keep my family away from the game. But losing the game, emotions run high. having a fan, which at the moment I thought he was a fan, but then I realized he was Tyrese's son, which I love. Tyrese, I think he's a great competitor. He was his dad, sorry. Coming in the floor and showing me his son a towel with his face. This is what we do. This is what we effing do. This the F we do. This. I feel like that's very, very disrespectful. You know, my dad, if you guys go and ask and learn, my dad's not with us no more. My dad used to come in the family room and was the most respectful person ever. You know, when you come from nothing and you've worked your whole life to sell stuff in the street, and your whole life you'll be scared of the police of deporting you and sending you back to your country. You have to protect your kids with all means. You create this mentality of being humble your whole life, to not kind of disrespect anybody, not make the tension high, the emotions high, so anybody can snitch on you, say something bad about you. So when he came here, I remember I was like, Dad, why are you so humble? Why are you going to the family room? You don't even say a word. You sit in the back. Why are you like that? Don't worry about it. Don't worry. That's how I grew up. That's what I had around. So when I see other dads, which don't disrespect me, maybe if my son play basketball, I might be in the court. I might be the one on the court, and like 20 years later, you can play this interview and say, Giannis, you're contradicting yourself. But we'll see in 20 years. But I'm talking about right now how I feel. You know, having somebody's dad, which I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his son, and I'm happy that he's happy for his son. That's how you're supposed to feel. But coming to me and disrespecting me and cursing at me, I think is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Okay? And I'm not the guy that points fingers, because in my neighborhood, snitches get stitches. So I don't want to say something, for him to say, to get fined or anything. But it's not respectful. I talked with him at the end. And I think we're in a good place.
Pablo, I'm floored by the amount of understanding and compassion that he showed, given what his rage had to be in that circumstance, and how he also managed, around the understanding and compassion, to give you his very strong opinion. It's hard to do all of those things together without emotion, to be that stoic about being very strongly opinionated on that was disrespectful, and doing it with such compassion that he convinced me it was disrespectful by the time he was done.
Yeah, I think he could have led with simply, I didn't know who this guy was. I thought he was a random guy who got onto the court, and that's why I reacted the way I did. Instead, he gives us, he writes perhaps a state award-winning column about why his perspective is the way it is. I mean, really, like, Giannis has gotten so good at media management, and I say that in part cynically because he kind of knows what he's doing at this point. He's savvy about it in his second, third language, but also, like, yeah, hard to disagree. I mean, look, you don't have to invoke the name of T. Morant, Ja's dad, to know that there is a thing where NBA dads are living vicariously on the court through their sons, even if it is in moments of celebration that, of course, every human would want to unleash every emotion they have. But the thing about, like, doing this post game, doing this when you're actually still, like, pretty, not just latently, but obviously still very irritated. It's just, I would say it's a masterclass in public relations with a really good column inside of it.
But Giannis has been showing us, that this is who he is for a while now. It's not that serious. He has the perspective. I mean, remember the Malik Beasley dancing in front of him? To him, that was just good fun. I mean, remember when he said the first round loss isn't a failure, is everything. If you don't get a promotion every year, is that a failure? He's been showing you, I have the proper perspective. I'm not taking this that seriously. So when somebody comes to him, even in that most heated of a moment, he is himself. He is not overheated. He is not going to fight this person because he's looking down at a fan, or in his mind thinking, wow, this person is going over the top. Let me teach him. He's been showing us who he is this whole time.
The part that is interesting to me about it, though, Pablo, is I was talking about how hard winning is earlier, how hard it is to be a champion, that LeBron has failed a lot more than he's won the way that we do the measurements right now. He's only won 4. And Steph, Stugotz came in here today saying Steph's had a better career than LeBron, but it's been two guys fighting for the titles. Kawhi stepped in there and won 3 of them, and Kevin Durant had to win a couple that Stugotz will not give him because Kevin Durant had to go to the Warriors to do it. And the one that Giannis won, he only won by a toenail over Kevin Durant. So you tell me, Pablo, the legacy of Giannis as we go on face of the league stuff, people are real interested to make Anthony Edwards the face of the league. Giannis is going to have to go somewhere else to be the face of the league. Like, you want all the stuff that he does, but you also need that person to be winning the championships.
Yeah, I think the context for Giannis, though, is that he did it in the age of every person you just mentioned. Like, when he wins a title in Milwaukee with, Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday weirdly has become, in retrospect, like the second most valuable player on that team, which has a lot about who Giannis had on that team with him. I think that's the testament. It's the context that he did it in the era of all of those guys at the most talent-rich, talent-saturated era, you could argue, in the history of the NBA. So one title from Giannis in Milwaukee at that time, I feel like that, again, we should be grading on a curve relative to what is the era he played in.
We all agree he needs a second title, right? Like, that goes without saying. He needs to have a second title. But how about this, okay? Don't tell my family how to celebrate my son doing something remarkable. How's that sound? Your family wants to celebrate their way. My family wants to celebrate their way. Don't criticize my family when we beat you.
This is what Tony was saying yesterday. He said that John Halliburton stood on business.
Well, this is also, Tony, Stugotz, as your ally here, Stugotz is the guy who patrols lacrosse sidelines with a lacrosse stick.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the worst possible messenger for this.
Right. 2 things. Number one, Stugotz, in the next edition of your personal record book, you need to give Giannis a second championship just for that class he displayed.
I will not. I don't agree with Giannis. No, I get it. Listen, I get that he's being Giannis, okay? I get it. But here's what I am telling you. You celebrate how you want to celebrate. Your family has their story. Halliburton's family has his story, and they celebrate how they want to celebrate. I will not give Giannis another ring. I will not. I will not give him a second ring. Wow. Go earn that ring.
Controversy.
Tony, why are you making faces as the argument maker on behalf of John Halliburton stood on business?
Again, he stood on business. This was prior to the whole Giannis thing and obviously the immigrant family and like the humbleness and all the great syrupy things that happened there. All I'm saying in Stugotz's mind were let my family celebrate the way my family wants to celebrate. The problem is when that family is celebrating basically on top of the grave of Giannis Antetokounmpo, that's where I have the issue.
Not the only problem. The problem that family is also celebrating in a way that seems divided because Halliburton after the game also handled this well by saying, "Pops,
what are we doing?"
He's got to say that, though, right?
Does he have to say that? I don't know. I think there are plenty of people who are going family first there and saying, I don't care if my father disrespects you. I'm not sure John Morant isn't doing finger guns at Giannis with right next to his father and rolling a grenade at him.
I feel like we do a thing in sports where we assume, and by the way, this is now connecting to one of the top 5 items, or the OLI, of the list that Greg brought in. We assume that someone, because they're either the partner of someone or a family member of someone, is acting with the authority of the someone. Like, I was just watching in the Instagram comments today, Steve Belichick, Bill's son, his wife, Steve's wife, get in the comments arguing with Nikki Glaser against the way that Jordan Hudson was conducting herself in that CBS interview, meaning the Belichick camp is now divided, meaning that when it comes to how your dad is acting on business on the court side, like, why would we ever assume? What about our history of family members in general in humanity has ever led us to assume, oh, they're doing that because he feels the exact same way as the person who's actually the star of the show here?
Tony, I'm with you on the face you made. I believe you are right when your face crinkles up in a disgust when either Pablo or I say business.
Yeah, if it's acting on business too, I didn't like that.
It felt bad coming out.
The problem is you got to do it quick and with confidence, Pablo. Act on business. Boom. Stand on business. Boom.
So good. He got permission from me. I shouldn't have done it either. I did it for effect, extra enunciated.
That was third-degree business that I was quoting.
It's a capital D there, a hard D I don't like.
Yes, we will get to put it on the poll.
baby.
At Le Batard Show, can you say business with the hard D if you're over 35 years old? At Le Batard Show.
Maybe with some Viagra.
I want to ask you about the Lakers last night and that Belichick story. I do want to get your thoughts on what is most interesting from that Belichick story as well.
Yeah. I mean, I have been looking into this Belichick thing for a future episode of the show. We kind of broke this story on PTFO, just for the record, to toot our own state award-winning podcast. What I had heard originally, by the way, which has now been just verified across the board, is that when it comes to how Bill operates, Jordan is the one actually operating him. And when it comes to this Super Bowl commercial, which you may or may not remember when Belichick showed up wearing a Dunkin' Donuts thing with
and she's
Affleck
in it. She's in it with Affleck, and she was in a commercial for the Super Bowl in a way that was really strange. Unmentioned that she was in it, and she's just in it.
Yes, and that should have been a giant warning sign that, wait a minute, why is this then obscure girlfriend of Bill Belichick in the biggest Super Bowl commercial of certainly his life, but also one of the biggest commercials in America? And it turned out that what I found out was that when you had to negotiate with Bill Belichick, and this is like the Damon and Affleck camp, okay? This is like the Hollywood A-list camp that makes these commercials. They had to negotiate with Jordan. She was acting as his representative back then and insinuated herself into the commercial and into every aspect of his life. And this has been a pattern that's occurred across the board. And so when I mention that Steve Belichick, remember the Belichick son with the tongue? You know, he was the guy who was wagging his tongue all the time. That's Steve.
Yeah, the unusual-looking coach on the sidelines that became famous for nepotism.
Yes. So he's now at Carolina as well. But his wife, when I say that his wife is now going at Jordan, I call her Jordan because it's Jordon, but when she's going after Jordan because she's blowing up the CBS interview, and Nikki Glaser is defending Jordan, what Steve Belichick's wife is saying is that's not professional. In public, she's saying this. So the question now, Dan, is the people who care and love about Bill Belichick, right? They are clearly somewhat worried about the way this story has gone, which is beyond, wow, this go-getter is really getting a lot. It's, is he okay? That would be the larger concern that people are articulating to me.
Pablo, I know you do great work on PTFO. I'm going to catch one of those episodes one day, I promise. But I have a theory for you. If we want to do something together, collaboration, me and you, I can be on the episode. I have a theory that Bill Belichick has been hypnotized. Unsubstantiated.
Put it on the poll. Do you believe Tony's theory that Bill Belichick has been hypnotized? I would say, Pablo, that I've only seen one other instance of this in my career, anything that felt like this, remotely close to it, and it's Sacramento's coach, Doug Christie, had a relationship in public that they were very proud about the fact, and this was always interesting to me because men obviously don't view this the way that a woman might admire something like this. Doug Christie was publicly genuflecting on, yes, I follow my wife everywhere. I'm good with that. It doesn't make me less of a man to be someone who simply follows my wife. And you know who's someone else who does that now? Dwayne Wade does that now, where there's no shame in that, but the age difference complicates this one.
Well, Doug Christie, I mean, I was just thinking about this, Dan, when I saw that he was announced as the Kings' new head coach, because Doug Christie, for those who don't remember, Tony, among all the people who acted and stood upon their bidness, he is up there, right? Like, this was unapologetic. This was something that he was very proud of. The Belichick difference, though, Dan, even beyond all of this, the difference is that there is no character who has been acting more unlike himself in the history of sports, you could argue, than Bill Belichick now versus Bill Belichick pre-Jordan. Like, that's the thing that everybody's like, whoa, it's not merely that, man, Bill's a wife guy. It's that Bill had not only never been a wife guy, he is now doing things that, admittedly, now that I say it out loud, kind of feels like he's been hypnotized. Yeah.
That's right. It's a good theory by Tony. I like it. Do you have a theory for me on this? CBS Sunday Morning is a magical show.
Oh.
I believe the broadcaster that gotcha Jordan and Belichick was overly cheesy in a number of different broadcastery ways. I want to ask you, as somebody who's now on MSNBC, a professional broadcaster on ESPN, if any human beings talk the way this broadcaster does when he's doing the affect of CBS Sunday Morning television.
You're probably thinking the same thing I was when I sat down with Bill Belichick. The now 73-year-old former NFL coach wasn't interested in gloating about his many achievements. Football is everything for Belichick.
Does anyone talk like that?
It's hard for me to say that no one talks like that when that is Mike Ryan's impression of how I talk. That would be a thing I feel like I'm stepping into as a matter of the trap that you've laid out for me.
Do you hear the question mark in this journalist that in this saying that would express to you that the particular journalist we're talking about is not objective?
The other change for Belichick is 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, his creative muse.
Again, I'm going to play that last part for you and ask you if there's a question mark between the creative and the muse.
His creative muse.
That ooh in muse was a lot like the D I put in business.
Yeah,
it was conspicuous and very deliberate.
There's
His creative muse.
There's some sass in there. Like he's really judging it for America.
His creative muse.
You can't see it, but he's clearly doing scare quotes.
His
like that is the
creative
verbal
muse.
expression of scare quotes.
He's also wagging a condescending chin at them.
His creative muse.
Perhaps a cocked eyebrow as well. Yeah,
His
all of those things are happening.
creative muse.
Doug Christie is coaching the Kings.
Let's play for Pablo the sound of Stugotz being as right as he has ever been on anything.
This is a nothing trade. It's big names. I understand why it's news. It's a nothing trade. The Lakers are not winning an NBA title anytime soon. The Mavericks are not winning an NBA title anytime soon. In fact, I would tell you the bigger trade made yesterday in the NBA was the one that got the Spurs the Aaron Fox. You want to know why? That team might win all the championships soon. This is not a trade that lands you Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is not getting Moses Malone if you're Dr. J and the Sixers, the missing piece, and then they went faux. This is not that. Right. This is a trade again with two middling teams and two superstars who barely play.
Luka played a ton of games last year.
It does feel, even despite that, it does feel like it's Elon Musk number one, that take number two on the things Stugotz has been most ahead of America on. I think about the Elon take all of the time.
Do you really?
You were ahead of everybody on that one.
Yes.
You were. Izzy, have you read or heard anything interesting on Luka and LeBron? In retrospect, it's fairly easy to say, when it comes to usage rate, it needs to not be the oldest player in the league anymore. You got to kind of hand the team over to Luka for real. You don't need both of them at the same time, especially if Luka's not going to be playing any defense at all.
And what has Luka ever needed? Another wing to handle the ball all the time? No, he needs the opposite of that. He needs 3 Jackson Hayes, who they didn't play him at all. It's going to be very interesting what they do with this personnel here because, again, you're going to look at every season that ends for Luka Doncic with him either holding his back or him in some sort of, agony because he had to play defense for a long time. And Nico Harrison and the Mavs are going to feel like they won. And I don't know what's going to fix that for next year personnel-wise. The Lakers aren't in great position to add.
Well, Pablo, can you please look this up for me, guys? Give me all the history where Minnesota wins a game or anybody wins a game shooting from 3 the way Minnesota did. Like, Luka and LeBron can't lose to a Minnesota team shooting like that at home to have their season extinguished. That's a terrible game shooting from
They
Minnesota.
were under 15% from 3.
Think
they
about
were
that.
Dreadful.
Think about that.
Yes.
No, it's the inversion of everything we've learned. Obviously, the Celtics, how they win titles, they do it by being the opposite of what the Timberwolves were. But I think when Izzy is alluding to Jackson Hayes, I mean, that's the story here. To me, like, it's the trade that didn't go through that almost went through in the shadow of the Luka trade. It was Mark Williams. right? And I know that trade fell apart because and I need to find out more about this, but in terms of like the buyer's remorse from the Lakers, in terms of the physical that was failed allegedly, but they needed a big man. They got basically Luka for so little that they thought, let's overpay for Mark Williams. And then the light of day, the morning after, they were like, let's actually not give all of this for Mark Williams. But Mark Williams, a healthy Mark Williams, is exactly who the Lakers needed this entire series.
Can you guys give me what your take was on Kerr sitting his starters in the second half yesterday, just taking
he's playing for Game 6 at home, Dan. I mean.
It was for a couple of minutes there, the greatest coaching move of all time. Because he got very close to having his scrubs not just win a game on the road, close out a series. He was that close to watching them do it, and I would have wondered at that point what he gave to the basketball gods, because he has gotten all these gifts in return. Steph Curry winning the 22 championship, all these things that happened to him, but that was absolute magic. Even if they didn't win, the amount of doubt that was placed into those starters who had to come back into the game and still fight off Spencer. I don't even know if it's Pat or Cam, one of the Spencers. It was great by Steve Kerr.
Dan, I got the worst playoff winning games with the worst three-point shooting percentages. So 13 teams are tied for the lowest three-point percentage in a win in a playoff game at 0%. So they made 0 threes. 0 threes, okay? The first three are the Miami Heat, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Denver Nuggets. The Heat, it was a game in May, I want to say first or second round against the Pacers, where they won 95-86. So all 95 points the hard way.
I like it.
Pablo, your thoughts on losing to Minnesota that way? Your thoughts on the Lakers' future? What was it that Windhorst did? Windhorst have some commentary that said that LeBron's frustrated with the Lakers? Did Windhorst?
They got him Luka.
I know.
It's not his team anymore, Dan. Like, we just talked about building around Luka, not around LeBron. We're talking about how Luka is going to fit in. How LeBron is going to fit in with Luka, and if he doesn't, how are they going to make up for that? This isn't his team anymore, and he's got to be frustrated by it. You saw it during this first round series. Jeff Teague talked about it. LeBron didn't seem serious the entire series. When have you seen him laughing with opponents during a playoff series? When have you seen him taking like fadeaway threes in big moments? This isn't his team anymore. He knows it. He's just, sort of finding a way to finish off his career, and maybe championships aren't as important as they were before.
Pablo?
Well, look, the thing that has most surprised me is that I've gone from immediately in the aftermath of the Luka trade being like, of course this was a clutch / LeBron move, right? Anthony Davis was a clutch client, LeBron's guy. Rich Paul, of course, LeBron's agent, AD's agent. They knew this was happening. LeBron had been drafting Luka in these all-star games the whole time. I was like, how did LeBron possibly get surprised by this? Clearly, LeBron was orchestrating this team and operating it according to his own whims. And look, I defer on this level because it was shocking when I first heard it. But Brian, and I've talked to Brian about this, Brian does not believe, actually. And this is something that, again, startling, that this is LeBron getting Luka. This is LeBron actually being surprised. And what that says, to Izzy's point about this not being his team anymore and him seeing the phasing out of his era in favor of the next one, that's the thing that casts a shadow over all of next year. As, by the way, Dan, the thought experiment that no one's done that I am endlessly interested in is the production and programming of LeBron James's farewell tour. If you thought that the Kobe Bryant tour was all consuming, if you thought that the Derek Jeter rocking chair thing, bats comprising a rocking chair thing, like everybody gives him gifts like he's an Egyptian pharaoh. Imagine all of that, but LeBron producing it himself to the expense and the detriment and the exclusion of any other story in the NBA in an entire 82-game run. That, to me, is what's coming. It may not be this coming season, but it might as well be. And if that's the case, we are in for a news cycle that is truly unlike anything else we've seen before.
Did he get that for thought experiment, or did he get it for the Egyptian pharaoh?
Just all of it.
Both. Yeah.
Just all? Was it talking like a broadcaster? Was it just talking broadcastery cheese? Is that it? Here's the thing? Because he hit you with a here's the thing.
Like I said, all of it.
I can't even tell when I hear
it's just body. It's lifetime. So it's a lifetime achievement.
Like Greg Cody.
Piano tinkle. Okay. Yes. Okay. Very
Egyptian
good.
pharaoh had me, man. That was a great reference.
Pablo, are there any other kinds of pharaohs? I don't know. Is that redundant? I don't.
Phil Pharaoh.
That's a good.
That weather terrorist.
Yeah,
Pharaoh Fawcett.
that guy scared the hell out of you. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's
Buying
good.
everything in Publix.
Yes, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are there other kinds of pharaohs other than the Egyptian?
Good question.
I don't
That's a good question.
Or
The
put
weatherman.
also put up on the poll: is Egyptian pharaoh redundant? Because I don't know. I don't know if there are other kinds of pharaohs. I don't know. I don't have any pharaoh history.
Did Greg want to give them Pharaoh Fawcett again? I don't think everybody heard.
Well, I had to explain that she was a former actress. I don't know how, I'm aging myself. I don't know if Farrah Fawcett is well known anymore,
Let's
but
go.
Farrah
Speaking
Fawcett
of
was her
aging,
sister.
who thinks they're going to have the best old clothes? Zaslow was a wild disappointment yesterday. Zaslow bringing in clothes only from 2016.
That ain't gonna work.
I thought for sure he had stuff from the 90s. I know that Greg Cody, before his son bought him an expensive bag, was walking around with a Barcelona bag from the 1992 Olympics.
It's true.
And so he's got a lot of old stuff. Who do you guys think is going to win on old stuff summoned from the closets? I think Chris Cody's going to win.
I have one that I feel amazing about. Another that is just old, but I don't feel it's not going to be too funny. And then I have one that my wife just hates. It's not that old. Every time I wear it, my wife is like, never wear that again.
All right, let's do this because I want all of you to hold up your third place finishers first. We're going to go 3 shirts.
I have OLI, Dan.
Yeah, I got 7.
So you're going to immediately go. Okay,
Narrow it down,
excellent,
maybe. Pick the
excellent.
best 3.
I've got accessories though too.
So no one wants to do it the way that would be easy.
Yeah, I got some. I got some accessories too. I want to count the accessories.
We need to get through the OLIs, and then we can all start with our
we've
3,
got 2 minutes, and Zaslow was really disappointing with this. So I wanted to limit Zaslow to 1. He brought 3. All of them were bad. Now I'm worried that I don't have confidence in this, given what Zaslow did with it.
I know Waslow's wife, and I'm telling you, she is the type of person who takes all the old stuff, she throws it in the garbage, and she buys him new stuff constantly.
Correct. That is
I feel like we lead with my dad. He's going to be strong here, I think.
All right, let's see the first of what he's got here. This is his weakest. This is his weakest entry. What do you have here? What do you describe it for us?
I think
please.
that's a 4th of July shirt.
Yes, millionth annual Independence Day Beach Bash 2001.
Wow.
Oh, 1.
A
He's
25-year-old
opening with
shirt.
2001.
That's strong.
Wow.
Holy shit.
My God.
He is opening.
01.
He has sent a statement larger than the one the Panthers sent to the Lightning yesterday. What is it? Look, he would not have been stronger there if he had dropped his pants and mooned all of you on I've got better than you do.
Should I get to number 2?
No. You're showing off at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
We need to get to Tony's OLI.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Pablo's only here for a few more minutes, so maybe we should go to him.
Pablo, what do you have in your excessive bag of accessories that doesn't suggest that this segment was prepared at all?
I got an actual bag. It's from the Mayweather-Pacquiao press tour, the Dream Match. It was 2008, though. So, I got
You know what? Solid.
Not bad.
That's good.
Not bad.
That's good.
8 years better than Waslow. 8 years better. I mean, Waslow was really disappointing. That was a real.
Told you his wife,
that was just an embarrassing fart by Waslow. Yeah. What else do you have there, Pablo? Just show us the rest of what you've got because we're running out of time.
So I just found a PTI hat, but the old part of it is that it's autographed by Tony Kornheiser for some reason.
I want that so
He
bad.
gave me a hat and signed it, and I don't know why, but I have it. So there's that.
Would you be willing to auction that off to the audience and just get another one?
Yeah, I would do that. I also would auction off my authentic Yao Ming bobblehead, which I have underneath my desk for some reason.
Wow. He's bringing it.
That's all-star.
So think about when was he a rookie? That was like 03, right? Like 02, 03. Like, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. You're doing well. I mean, it's not 2000.
Oh, wow, look, 1 of 5,000. I just noticed this. I never looked underneath there.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Check that out.
Yeah, makes me less
that's
impressed.
pretty good.
Makes me less impressed.
Oh, and I have
5,000.
Less impressed? You think 5,000 is a
I
lot?
have a polo shirt from the time my late uncle ran for board member of an obscure municipal organization.
All right, that'll do it.
Did he win? Did he win?
Bobby Q.
He did not.
Uncle Bobby defeated at the
R.I.P.
polls.
Tito Bob, love you forever, even though you lost your seat at board member, whatever that means.
multimedia show too. So after each bit, I screen the glorious culmination of the bit.
How hard was it to keep your mind on the task at hand?
Oh, dude, that was the most challenging thing ever, man. It was the tiniest little airplane packed full of dudes, and all I had was a little portable DVD player. It was tough.
I mean, we've never had anyone ask a creepier question in a creepier tone.
Way he asked
I don't understand.
Never needed a
follow-up. The way that you sensually asked him and started a sentence with "How hard was it?"
I thought he was going to stop right there. How hard was it?
No, that's it. Yeah, how hard was it? Would have been for you to pull the parachute on that question. But you're like, and then you finish the task in a way that I think you were going for sultry there.
Task at hand. It was close.
Task at hand.
Yeah, but yeah, it's pretty heavy. There are 10 different items on the list, so it's quite a loaded show. And yeah, so
are you
guys
doing this at hand loaded thing? Are you guys doing the word choices on purpose?
What was below you?
15,000 feet of air to the ground.
I guess my question is because that skeet had to land somewhere.
Oh, come on, man. Jesus.
That portable DVD must have gone, but it came in handy. I mean,
come on. You've got him doing it with porn? You've got him.
He did. That's what he had the DVD for.
You got him flying down with porn.
What'd you watch?
I watched. Man, it was some pretty heavy anal
I'm sorry.
stuff.
No. Let's just keep it moving here. Oh God. All right. Excellent. And so there it is.
Journalism.
Excellent. Well, yeah, and I just claimed he's an adult and he's learned and he's grown up. I know. And
just because he has a dog.
I know. And before we started here, the last time you were on with us, but I mean, he was introspective about things that sounded like therapy while we were talking beforehand, and just the admission in general that you're soothed by a dog is vulnerable in a way that I was not expecting from him.
Dog he stole from someone in Peru. I mean,
there is somebody in Peru, just with a totally different name for Wendy, who's now a star. Like there's some heartbroken family in Peru trying to explain to their 4-year-old while Steve-O gets to tour the country with that family's dog.
The press box has changed.
But Mike said it best. The press box has changed. I mean, seriously, get over yourself. We're going to talk during the post game. Tim Reynolds, enough. I mean, enough.
I mean,
seriously.
you just got to know when
You're
the
not allowed to cheer in the press box. Did you know that?
Well, I did.
They were cheering for Will Manso. I think that's allowed.
And Goldie.
If the Dan Le Batard Show comes to a hockey press box, hilarity is going to ensue. They're going to yell at Will Manso for 7 minutes, and you're probably going to have to go to a stairwell to write, man.
If it was 7 minutes, I'd get it.
It
was
is
7
what it
seconds.
is.
Exactly. I mean, David, everyone else was saying hi. They were enjoying the show. They were laughing at us. But one guy is still clutching on to his newspaper deadline.
I'm a little disappointed.
Tim Reynolds.
And is he your demographic, Stu?
I don't know.
I happen to like Tim a lot, and
Enough of
I imagine this was going to be like E.J. Raddick or something, but that's just a bad look for Tim Reynolds.
Listen, I went up to him afterwards.
This was the best part. Stugotz is like, I've known Tim for years. I'm going to go fix this. He walked to Tim and walked right back very quickly.
Yep.
It was a very quick interaction.
Well, he was writing. Okay?
He's on deadline. It's
enough of the deadline.
It's a
We're on deadline. I gotta get home. I feel like playing off hockey. I got to get home. I mean,
yeah, we're on deadline too. We got to get that post game out.
It is a working press box. Tim Reynolds is a journalist who's trying to write, and Stugotz is back there. Hey, Will Manso!
That was Chris and Goldie. Don't leave out Goldie.
We're on deadline too. They're going to kick us out of that press box a lot sooner than they'll kick out Tim Reynolds, who's just typing away. That's just
Those writers had their game stories done before the end of the game.
Precisely.
Yeah, a good writer, right?
Oh,
what happened there? I apologize to him. I've known Tim for decades. I mean, Cody was done. He was out of there. I mean,
What was that interaction like, Stugotz? Take us behind the scenes. You walk up to him, You say what, he says what.
I said, Tim, I apologize. That's on me. I should know better. Not Chris, okay? I should know better. I've been in press boxes before. I know you have a deadline. I apologize. And he said, that's fine. Just, try to keep it down.
That is way too long.
That was
way
much longer than the actual conversation.
I always extend it a little bit. I mean, you guys
can we
know that.
call Tim Reynolds and just ask him about what the interaction was like?
No.
Greg Cody's back in my day. Seeds.
Seeds. Seeds. Had a slice of watermelon lately? Popped a few grapes in your maw? Then you probably notice seeds are disappearing from fruit. And you probably see this as a good thing just because it makes life a little easier. We love us some convenience. In fact, it's a terrible thing, the de-seeding of us. Symbolically alone, the seed is the king of life. Adam gave his to Eve, and here we are, if you believe the story. If they take the seed out of humans the way we have watermelons, we're all dead ducks. Beans, peas, rice, coffee, corn, all seeds. Flour and oil started as seeds. All hail seeds. So what the hell is happening? In exchange for convenience, we are not valuing the seed's impact on health, biodiversity, and our food system. The genetic variability of most plants require seeds as essential to their evolution. De-seeded, artificially homogenized fruits rely on human intervention in the reproductive process, exposing the fruits to many pathogens. Plainly put, seedless fruits are not as good for you. They contain less fiber and have fewer minerals and vitamins than their seeded natural brethren. Seedless fruits also have fewer antioxidants, plant-based nutrients, and anti-inflammatory properties. But enough about this science. Bring back seeds because seeds are fun. Not to mention aesthetically and visually pleasing. Kids growing up today have sliced open a watermelon, have never sliced open a watermelon, and experienced the joy of seeing that juicy red flesh dotted with embedded black seeds. Nellie Doogie used to tell us if we swallowed a watermelon seed, a big melon would grow on our belly. It wasn't true. But as kids would make a competition out of seed spitting. You extracted the big seeds from the melon flesh. Tongue only, never fingers or a utensil, and you'd see who could project a seed the farthest. Every summer we did that. This was before video games, kids. Made our own games and toys. Flew a kite, kicked a can, spit a seed. Grapes were the real challenge because the seeds were so much smaller. We'd both pop a grape in our mouth, tongue moving, jaws in action, and whoever could spit out 3 seeds onto the table the fastest won. To this day, I carve real pumpkins and eschew the prefab foam and plastic fakes, mainly for the treasure trove of seeds inside. Hundreds and hundreds of them waiting to be scraped out, cleaned, and roasted in the oven to become delicious natural snacks. Respect, worship, and bring back the seeds. I need a t-shirt that says convenience is overrated. Insist to your local grocer that you'll take your watermelon seeded, please, and the grapes too. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Yep. Journalism is dead.
But journalism, as we know it, as you know it, what you wanted to do when you were a little kid, okay, it has changed. It has. It's changed, okay? You're not wrong. Stephen A. Smith is not wrong. You have to adapt sometimes, okay? Because the game has changed, your priorities have shifted. No one cares how someone goes and gets the news that they get, as long as the news is accurate, as long as it's coming from a credible place. If it's Woj, if it's Adam Schefter, if it's you, if it's Diana Rossini, if it's Shams, nobody cares. You might care. Greg Cody might care. Stephen A. Smith might care. But you know what? You all sold out. Every single one of you, okay? Stephen A. Smith jumped inside the circus tent. I don't blame him. Why'd he do it? Because he had to do it. Because the game has changed. You jumped inside the circus tent. You did. You did so with me. Think about that. With me and with Greg Cody every Tuesday, okay? And so you have ditched journalism a long, long time ago because why? Survival of the fittest, Dan. You have to change with the times. You have to roll with the changing environment, roll with the changing industry, and that's what you decided to do. That's what Stephen A. decided to do. And for Woj, for guys like him, the game has changed slightly, where he went out and he sought reports, and he wanted to be the reporter. And you know what? If now he has morphed into a mouthpiece for the Blazers, I'm okay with it. I am good with it. I don't care.
Survival of the fattest.
Everyone, exactly. Everyone is selling out to make a buck.
What a terrible timing.
It was great.
Like that joke.
Hey, just give it up. You all want to be journalists. You're not journalists anymore. None of you. Not a one of you. Sorry.
You didn't even hear the joke. You said
I did. Survival of the fattest. It was great.
It just could have been done after Stugotz stopped talking, Dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoehorn that
But I'm
in.
okay. I'm okay
you're
with
splitting
it.
hairs.
Right.
Okay.
You adapt. You roll with things, man. That's it. You know, Dan, you started off, if you're a driver, you drove a yellow cab and you were loyal to the yellow cab. You know what? But the game has changed to Uber, to Lyft, to private driving. And you know what? You have to ditch the yellow cab and you have to drive an Uber. Why? Because you'll make more money. Why? Because more people are taking Uber than the dirty yellow cabs. That's why. That's what you do. No one cares about journalism. You know what they care about? Laughing, being entertained. And you do a great job of that. And Stephen A. Smith does a great job of that. No one cares about journalism. People care about smiling. That's it.
You know, this morning I found myself while I was driving Claire to school. I told her, you ask a lot of questions. You should be a journalist. And now here in this conversation, I just, don't be a journalist. Like,
exactly.
Do something else.
It's over.
Sad.
You're going to let Stugotz parent your daughter. You think that's a good idea?
You think journalism is a good occupation to choose now?
No, I would not. Listen, not only is it not a good occupation to choose, I have looked around Miami and realized we're the only ones providing the jobs we're presently providing. I heard local TV reporters are making $45,000 a year.
Huh.
I couldn't believe that's how bad local television is struggling, that's the place that has arrived. And I told Chris Cody not to get into this business at all because it's terrible.
But Stephen A. Smith is making more money than he's ever made in his entire life. He has more power. He has more of everything than he's ever had in his entire life. You want him to give that up because of journalism? Like, get out of here.
I believe you can do both. You're being very
How?
Absolute about this. First of all, he does. He does reporting, does journalism. He is very credible. When he gives information, it's not like Skip Bayless giving information. There is a difference. Skip Bayless also allegedly a journalist, but he's been contaminated by this thing and distorted by it in ways that are even more poisonous because he doesn't do any reporting anymore. Like, he doesn't talk to people in a way that's informed. Stephen A. actually goes to things, has relationships, and certainly when he's talking about basketball, if Stephen A. gives you information that's not opinion, you trust that it's informed.
No doubt, but every time he does that show, Dan, every single episode, his journalistic integrity, it shreds away. Little by little, piece by piece, it just does. He is doing a debate show debating the most ridiculous topics in the history of sports. Like, it has to affect your credibility.
Stugotz, it has happened.
And you sitting next to me does not help. I mean.
or my dad or Cody, because I said to myself, generations of Codys, because I did say to myself, this is one of the things I find funny about Stephen A. and thinking that he and I do the same thing, because once I got to PTI and it was argument television, I said I'd like to try to do it differently, but I guess that sounds highfalutin. I don't want to do debate shows.
The knuckleball is dead.
The knuckleballer is dead now, correct? Completely dead. There's no one. Is there anyone throwing the knuckleball now?
Someone has to be throwing it.
I would say Tim Wakefield was pretty
None of us
bad.
have one. We're just like, yeah.
No, there has to be.
There's got to be. Well, wait a minute. The knuckleballer didn't go extinct without anyone telling us.
As long as there's breath in my lungs, there's a knuckleballer out there.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. As long as there is breath in your lungs, will there be a knuckleballer out there?
There should be more, because if you notice, I mean, I don't have any stats to back this, but I don't care. I'm going with it regardless. I would say that the position players that are pitching have a much better ERA than average pitchers do, because they're all just going out there throwing the ball like
Guys, a pair of Game 6s in the NBA tonight, which I think we're going to talk about in a little bit. NBA has been on fire. This first round has been great. The ratings have been great. Like, everything's been great. But you know what's been great? Going to the actual games. Obviously, the Heat fell 4-0. They got the sweep. So we weren't able to go to too many Heat games in the playoffs. But go get tickets on Game Time. If you're in Detroit, if you're in LA, tonight, a great time to go buy tickets on Game Time. By the way, since the Heat got swept, I've been looking to take the family out to watch some games. What am I going to do? Go to the Marlins. How do you like that? Going to the first Marlins game of the year for me and the fam. Bought my tickets on Game Time, sitting right behind home plate, got the view, got everything I needed straight on Game Time, all in pricing. Everything was perfect as usual. And download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Greg Cody came in here today and congratulated Stugotz on his Big Ten Women's Lacrosse Championship at Northwestern by way of good morning.
I did nothing, but thank you, Greg, for congratulating Rachel on winning her third consecutive Big Ten championship.
Yeah, you're the number one fan, though.
I am the number one fan. Well, I don't know if I'm the number one fan, but I've certainly been to every game, and so it's been a fun ride. She has more rings than Jordan, I believe. I mean, I'm not even joking. She has a national championship ring. She has 3 Big Ten rings. She has a finals ring, which is the runner-up ring, which I told her to throw in the garbage. A couple of Final Four rings. I mean, she's got some hardware.
She doesn't have more rings than Jordan, though.
No.
She might have more rings than Jordan, but
Fair.
I think
Totally
and Jordan is looking to get another one.
Oh, yeah, the big one.
I'll bet she is. Wow. I wonder if Bill's got a little prenup working. What do you think? I'm just throwing it out there. I'm looking out for Bill.
Yeah.
Implying nothing about Jordan.
Yes.
And their relationship. I
feel like you are implying
It's a
something.
fair question, though. I mean,
It didn't sound condescending at all.
It's a fair question.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking out for Bill. I mean,
You're real concerned about him, are you?
I'm real concerned, yeah. I really am. A third of his age? Wow.
Why are you, wait a minute, but why wouldn't you look out for her? Like, why are you looking out for him? What about her?
She can handle herself.
He can't?
Not yet.
No.
What's your vibe? I don't like this. The last 30 seconds.
Well,
weird.
I'll tell you what his vibe is. Too many statues on Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley gets a statue, and all of a sudden, Cody's like, too many statues in sports.
Too many statues in sports. I think it's a fact.
Jack.
There's certain players who deserve a statue. Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig. Of that stature.
Dwayne Wade.
People that you say deserve them.
Yes,
you
correct.
should be the statue guardian.
Dwayne Wade, borderline.
Really?
Don Staley?
Borderline?
Not yet.
What?
Not yet.
He said not yet.
Yeah.
But Dwayne Wade borderline on the statue?
Yeah, you don't
he
don't erect a statue for everyone just because they made a bunch of All-Star games and had a Hall of Fame career. A statue to me rises above the level of mere Hall of Famer. You have to be legendary for all time. Your fame has to span generation after generation to be worthy of a statue, in my opinion.
How many generations of basketball players have 3 championships here in South Florida?
I gave Kawhi, by the way, 3, and he's only got 2. So I gave Kawhi an extra championship in my personal record book. Apologies on that mistake.
Well, you have the Clippers-Pacers series for the championship, and you have the Clippers winning, so that's where you're giving the third kind of already.
I gave Kawhi an extra championship I shouldn't have. I want to ask all of you this question because I don't feel that I've ever heard this word used before Hall of Famer. Mere Hall of Famer. I thought that, and he's not entirely wrong.
Dan, there are Hall of Famers, and then there are Hall of Famers.
Thank you.
There's a big difference.
I think you just said the same thing.
No,
he's
right.
I said it
He's
in a
right.
different way.
That's right.
Yes.
That's well put by Stugotz.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do it again. Teach me, please.
Dan, there are Hall of Famers, and then there are Hall of Famers.
Exactly.
Yes.
Lou Gehrig is a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Joe Mauer, Hall of Famer.
Zagacki.
Shouldn't be.
Yes. And not on the first ballot, that's for sure. Oh, brother.
Thank you.
I didn't vote for him on the first ballot, I don't believe.
Who would?
You don't believe? You would know. Did you get forgetful? Like what?
Well, who keeps track? I fill out a ballot every year. They pile up. But
Who keeps track? You probably do.
When you're talking about legendary athletes, okay, and this is no disrespect meant to Dwayne Wade, who had an epic career for the Miami Heat. deserves to have his number raised in the rafters, deserves to have his number retired, all that stuff, deserves to have a night at the arena. But a statue, to me, you reserve, and I don't think the Heat have anyone who merits a statue right now except Pat Riley, and all they did was give him his name on the court.
Well, all they did yesterday was take his job away and fire him all over television.
Well, and fans have been doing that for a couple of years now.
Not really.
I've seen a lot on social media that makes me go, really?
A few fans, and social media is not representative of an entire fan base, but this is the loudest it's ever been around Pat Riley. This is that, but it doesn't mean that there are a lot of people
I'm
doing
curious, Greg. LeBron James is a bigger player, historically better player than Dwayne Wade. Obviously won a couple of championships here, made it to 4 finals. Would LeBron getting a statue in front of Miami's arena be okay with you? It matters the person, not the place?
That's a fair question, and I don't know that there's an easy answer for that. LeBron's career deserves a statue, okay? Like Michael Jordan, LeBron.
So wait, we just put it in a parking lot somewhere between Cleveland, Los Angeles, and Miami? Like, wait.
You know, that's for the statue lords.
I thought you were the lord of the statue lords. You just took one from Dawn Staley, and I think everyone's okay with Dawn Staley having one except you.
Well, she's won how many championships? 2? Staley?
As many as Kawhi?
Okay.
But Kawhi should have a statue. That's his point.
Right.
Well, his point is that you shouldn't have a statue. He just said LeBron shouldn't have a statue. Well, he should have a statue, but it shouldn't be allowed on Los Angeles, Cleveland, or Miami's premises.
It's in a closet somewhere.
Fair, yeah.
All right. Since you appointed me the Lord of Statues, let me say that to get a statue in a city, you have to spend more than 4 years there. Okay, I look at longevity as well as accomplishment. You have to marry those two factors.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. To get a statue, should you have to spend more than 4 years in a city? And also put it on the poll, are we giving out too many statues?
To Greg's point, though, if you're still coaching, you can't have a statue, right? Did she quit? Did I?
No, she's still coaching.
She's still coaching. So you can't give her a statue while she's still coaching.
Right.
Once she's done, and then time has passed, like Greg says, maybe she wins 4, 5, 6.
Should we be put this on the poll as well at Le Batard Show? Should we be giving living people of any kind statues?
I have confirmed that my dad did vote for Joe Mauer in 2023.
On the first ballot?
Well, he got in on the first ballot, so that's the only ballot he was on.
Okay, but let me
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Here's the caveat here.
No, wait a minute. Just eat the L. What's the caveat?
I want to hear the caveat.
Wait a minute.
I want to hear
I'll hear it. I'll allow the hearing of it, and it's fine. But before he gets to the caveat, can you just admit that you're wrong about your recollection?
Yeah, I was wrong. Sure.
Can you admit that you're wrong in having a Hall of Fame vote that you treat with so little regard that this is not an indictment of your memory, but it's an indictment in general of how it is that you do these things, that you don't actually care whether someone's first ballot or not because you can't remember whether you voted someone first ballot or not?
I cherish my Hall of Fame vote enough to have kept it for a long time, unlike yourself, who was stripped of his vote for malfeasance.
Yeah.
And in some cases, perhaps
For integrity, not
wrong.
Yeah, for integrity. Okay, that's what they call it.
Potato.
But the point I want to make is each ballot allows you a maximum of 10 votes. Occasionally, I vote for all 10. More commonly, I'll vote for 7 or 8, only the ones who I think are deserving. But let's say I vote for all 10. The 1 or 2 at the top, no-brainer, first ballot guys. You know, I mean, Derek Jeter, you know, there's no doubt about it. The 10th
No
person,
statue for Jeter, by the way. There is one for Ruth.
Yeah, there should be. Yeah.
Right.
But the 10th guy on my ballot.
Should there be one for Jeter or no?
In New York, there should be.
I wasn't putting it in
Hall
the
of
same
Famers,
parking
and then
lot
they're
with
Hall of
LeBron.
Famers.
Yeah, I would put, if I were the
In
Yankees.
New York, there should be was an odd way to respond to that.
Well, I mean, the Marlon's going to give him a
Did he want it in Iowa?
No,
I think we were all assuming.
Let's put it in front of the White House. I don't know what he's doing with the statue.
In New York, yes.
Why would you put it in front of the White House? Dummy. What a dumb idea. But the 10th person I vote for barely makes my ballot. You know
You
what I'm
voted for
saying?
7 on this
Okay, so
ballot.
Joe Mauer was my 7th pick.
But don't all the votes count the same?
They do, but not in my mind.
Well, he's a Hall of
I like
Famer,
it.
or he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh,
There
there's
you go.
no.
Near Hall of
Now you're
Fame.
doing
There you
it.
go.
Make no mistake about it. There are Hall of Famers, and then there are Hall of Famers.
I'm not making any mistake about it. The only mistake about it that's been made is you remembering whether you voted for Joe Mauer or not.
Excuse me for not being perfect.
Well, you just said that the mere Hall of Famer is imperfect enough for you to insult him by not offering him or her a statue.
When Stugotz says Joe Mauer should not have made the Hall of Fame on the first ballot, even though I voted for him, I see his point. It was an arguable decision.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well
I would not have felt shame or remorse had I not voted for Joe Mauer, because I would have voted for him the next year, probably. I think if somebody's on the Hall of Fame as a first ballot guy, you got to be really all-time good to get my first ballot vote.
Except for this circumstance.
Well, again, it's easier for catchers. I'm going to say that. Catchers and relief pitchers, if you get a real good one, you're more apt to vote for them than other positions. That's quantifiable. And so that really helped Joe Mauer get
Are you
in,
aware of the number of inconsistencies in your position when you say there's a difference between a Hall of Famer and a Hall of Famer?
Right.
There's a mere Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
but Joe Mauer would be a great example of someone who's a mere Hall of Famer who you made a first ballot selection.
Yeah, largely
that you
because
don't
of his position. Yeah.
But you don't regard as a first ballot selection, even though with the only vote that you had to make a statement into forevermore, you regarded him as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Marginally and largely because of his position.
But
So he was marginally a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Wow. And you didn't think there were enough idiots out there to also vote for Joe Mauer, so that's why you did it.
I don't understand what is happening here.
Greg's right.
Well, but
Thank you.
how is he right about being wrong about what he remembers?
He's always right.
Okay. All right. This is a matter of fact, Jack. If you give Joe Mauer's
About time.
exact career statistics to a center fielder, to a shortstop, that's not first ballot.
So he's not a
But
first ballot Hall of Famer.
He was because he's a catcher.
Separate wing, Dan. Catcher Hall of Fame, different. Than
So
the
he
rest
is
of the
a
Hall of
first
Fame.
ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely a different standard.
So he is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But he's not.
He is literally. Whether or not he should have been is marginal.
Okay, should have been, but when you had a choice on should, you said he was.
I gave him my seventh and last vote that year.
But your
Had
seventh
to use it.
Your
Yeah.
seventh and
I
last
didn't,
vote
but I
for
did.
a first ballot Hall of Famer. No, you gave other votes for other people who weren't first ballot Hall of Famers.
Right.
He was the one on that ballot, Chris. How many first ballot Hall of Famers did your father have other than Joe Mauer? Because it would be really delightful if Joe Mauer was not only a first ballot Hall of Famer, but his only first ballot Hall of Famer that he was voting for, as he doesn't remember how it is that he voted.
I'm going to have to look up of these other six if that was their first
Well,
year.
name them.
Yeah, it
Go
was
ahead and
Adrian
name
Beltre, he voted for.
That
Todd
is
Helton, who
not- those are not first ballot guys,
Yep.
neither one of them.
Todd Helton, not, and then it
Both
was
marginal.
Manny Ramirez may have been.
Okay, no, I voted
steroids.
No.
Okay.
No.
steroids.
A
don't
Rod,
bother me.
definitely not.
No.
Gary Sheffield, definitely not.
No.
Billy Wagner.
Well, he questioned Wagner too, so he's got two. There's the possibility is Billy Wagner. Is Billy
We're
Wagner?
going to look up whether that was his first ballot.
He did not think that Billy Wagner should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know that Billy Wagner got in on the first ballot though.
Billy Wagner got in. He's a relief pitcher, which benefited him in the end, as it does with catchers. But Wagner got in his last year of eligibility. Okay, and there is a sentimental factor there where if you've come close and you're in your last year of eligibility, there is a tendency to get a
Are you
final
kidding
year
me?
bump.
Is Joe Mauer his only first ballot Hall of Famer?
I'm being told Adrian Beltre was a first ballot.
That was his first time on the ballot?
That's what I'm being told.
Really? All right.
And Billy Wagner was on since 2016.
Right.
So.
That was his last year of eligibility, and I voted for him. Although I think I'd voted for him before.
I don't want your I thinks on this because I don't think we can trust your I thinks on this. It's been proven that your I thinks on this are faulty in memory.
Right. I apologize that I don't remember my exact ballot from 8 years ago.
Okay,
you know.
I'll leave this alone after this, but I would think that the one thing in the world that you would remember is whether someone is or isn't first ballot, because it's a measurement system that's in your head that you seem to know. But when I ask you about it, you say that Joe Mauer's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though he's one of the few you've ever voted in on the first ballot.
Yeah. Sounds like you're beating a dead horse.
Yep.
Speaking of dead horses, I'm looking forward to the Kentucky Derby Saturday.
the
I'm
Derby.
telling you what.
Yes.
Even though my horse Comley is not running in it because she's older than 3 years old.
Isn't Comley like done?
Well, Comley's going through a rough patch. Comley's been diagnosed as an allergic horse.
Allergic to winning?
Well,
Hey.
That's not bad. Yes, as a matter of fact.
Let me ask you a question, Greg Cody,
Yeah.
before we go to dead horses or calmly or anything else that is horse racing
forgotten
related.
filly.
I've got a question that I believe will trap you.
Okay.
At the Miami Herald, do you deserve a statue?
I don't think the Miami Herald puts up statues.
Not what I asked you.
did.
Not
If
what
they
I
did.
asked you.
If they did.
I would put a statue of Edwin Pope first.
First.
Yeah, first. Right.
Okay, that's-
Roy said that at the exact same time as Greg.
Did
Not
he
that
say
Greg
the
is
first though?
predictable,
Because
but he
the
said
fir-
at the
no,
exact
but
same
no, but
time.
the first is important there.
So
Because
Pope's is first, and it's a little bit bigger than the rest of the statues, right?
Yeah, it's an
Yes.
inch taller than my eventual statue.
even
Yeah.
though he was shorter in
He
real
was
life,
shorter,
than
yeah,
you,
but I want him larger than life.
Okay, so but you're getting a statue?
Yeah, why not? We're
Second.
giving them away. You know, I mean, if Don Staley's getting one, you know.
We're giving them away. You think you're the Don Staley of column writing? You are in Florida. You are in Florida this year, according to the F whatever. The FU.
Yeah, FSNE.
That's what I meant.
Florida Society of News Editors.
The
How
FU.
many writers until Dan gets a statue, Greg?
You know, I don't think statues are warranted in most any walk of life, including journalism. Okay, and the Miami Herald, thank God, does not have statues in front of what used to be their building.
I was going to say, they don't even have a building.
I know.
But if
Well-
they did have statues,
Or
would
a
your
physical
statue be bigger than
newspaper.
Dan's?
No chance. Dan's would be humongous.
Well, he doesn't respect the actual height. Thank you, Izzy. I'm glad that you really were amused by yourself body shaming me there.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, no, I
Well, statues always tend to be larger than life. Ron Frazier, the former Miami Hurricanes baseball coach, has a statue in front of the ballpark there. I think it's warranted. He invented that sport at the University of Miami and saved it in the early years.
So that one's warranted.
That's warranted. If you're going to have, my point is, if you're going to have a statue, make it an all-time legendary figure. Okay, don't make it somebody who was
Don Staley is that.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
South Carolina loves her. She's very accomplished. She's a great coach. She's in the middle of a great career. Wait on the statue a little bit, right? Wait a
Does
minute.
Gino deserve a statue in Connecticut?
If you're giving out statues, he absolutely does. Yes.
Well, we're giving them out, obviously.
Oh,
but you're taking them away from Don Staley. Like we gave one to Don Staley, and you took it away.
Well, Don Staley is a perfect. No disrespect meant.
It is disrespectful.
No, I don't believe it is. Don
Just saying
Staley,
not yet. That's all he's saying.
Yeah, Don
Right.
Staley is a perfect example of too many statues. That's all.
I really would have preferred that whole John Halliburton situation had gone with Halliburton waving a towel, and then at the end, no disrespect. If he had just said, like, I don't mean any disrespect by this. This canceled out all previous disrespect. When I tell you the assortment of things that I told you that included, look at what my son did to you, your career, your franchise, and your legacy, and I'm waving a towel with his face in yours, but no disrespect.
But yet you endorsed that. Like you're backing.
That was Tony that endorsed it with stood on business. That's Pablo that endorsed it with stood on business. And this is Stugotz who endorsed it by saying, let a family enjoy however it is.
I wouldn't dare say business.
It is something that is making one element that is making the NBA playoffs fun, right? Like we haven't seen that a ton where you have Giannis face-to-face, never mind a fan, with the father of another player. But it feels like John Halliburton, he doesn't really match, doesn't look like a John Halliburton.
He doesn't look, the John is confusing
Yeah.
me. Go talk to John Halliburton in accounting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, but it feels like he was just riding the wave of what the NBA is allowing, because in every single game they're allowing absolute muggings, or they had been. They let a game get decided without blowing a whistle in that Knicks-Pistons game. But the weird part is as much as, hey, you don't want the games decided by a lack of whistles, everybody seems to love the result, which is not long playoff series, because we've only got 2 Game 6s coming, but physical playoff series, and people want to see the fights. So I guess PK Subban was kind of right when he came on here and said, yeah, we need fighting in the NBA.
This is a little bit parenthetical to the whole conversation about Giannis and Halliburton's father. But I don't know the answer to it, and maybe somebody does. Since when are parents allowed on an NBA court after a game? Okay, it's one thing if you've just won a championship and there's no more games, and your family comes to under the confetti and is part of your whole celebration. But after a first-round series, parents are on the court now.
And
That's
contrast
okay.
that with, I think when Houston clinched a playoff series, Akeem Olajuwon was not allowed onto the court, I believe, because somebody didn't recognize them. And it's just like, all right, so who are we letting onto the court? Why are these things happening? Security does need to be better.
Thank you.
I want to play a sound here that I believe has now confused our investigative team more than it's helped our investigative team do its job. This is the information I'm being given in my ear after an emergency investigation. We have sound, evidently, after Greg Cody had indeed voted for Joe Mauer by the December 23rd deadline as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
December 2023.
This is sound
in January of 24.
Of January, a month after Greg Cody has voted definitively for Joe Mauer as a first ballot Hall of Famer. We asked him about that a month later.
Well, I think he's a Hall of Famer largely because of his position, in the context of his position. To me, he's not a first ballot guy, which I hold sacrosanct. I don't vote for any first ballot players unless they're extraordinary.
You already voted for him.
You had already voted for him a month earlier.
Yeah. And what's your point?
Sacrosanct. What is your point? Yeah.
As I've mentioned before, the rules are a little bit different with catchers and relief pitchers.
Let me play that again. In December, he voted Joe Mauer as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Here's his explanation a month later.
While I think he's a Hall of Famer largely because of his position, in the context of his position, to me, he's not a first ballot guy, which I hold sacrosanct. I don't vote for any first ballot players unless they're extraordinary.
You've been saying sacrosanct my entire life.
I love that.
But it's not sacrosanct because you could have waited a year and made it sacrosanct.
Voted for him.
You did not make it sacrosanct.
Okay.
You said...
I said nothing there that I walk back now. I'm in favor of all of it.
Attaboy.
Okay, and the reason is this:
So proud, man.
he was not a Hall of Fame level first ballot guy.
You voted for him. You had one chance
Hear
to
him out.
If you don't use it, you lose it, Dan.
The reason I voted for him was because of his position. As I've said, if it's any other position,
Greg,
he does not get my vote
Greg,
on the first ballot.
Greg.
Catchers are different.
That's not sacrosanct.
Yeah, it is. Except for
Okay.
catchers and relief pitchers.
All right, we're done talking about it then. I lose. I lose again.
You agree to disagree?
Yes, I guess.
Wow.
No, I don't agree to disagree.
Yeah, that kind of thing. You know?
I'm going to agree to agree. That's a fact, Jack. That kind of thing.
Le
Yeah.
Batar's just sore because they stripped him of his own vote. Now
That
he
is why.
Now he
That is-
resents
that's
my
right,
vote.
That's right. Because look at the fool they gave it to instead of me. I said, take my vote. I don't want any of these steroid moralizers protecting the gates. What does he do? Moralizes, and then Gary Sheffield, A-Rod, and Manny Ramirez. Finger guns, John Morant. Woo-woo! Joe Mauer. Everybody's in the Hall of Fame, but it's sacrosanct. You know what's sacrosanct? Me having an important vote. Yeah.
Okay, I would say something if you're done. I don't know if your finger gunning is done or not, but...
grenade!
Alex Rodriguez, I did not vote for on the first ballot because of the steroids.
Right. Honorable.
I thought so.
Yep.
So Joe Mauer is
I
more of a
later-
Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer than A-Rod, just to be clear.
I don't vote for steroid guys on the first ballot as a matter of principle. But it doesn't mean they're not eventual Hall of Famers.
I thought
as
you didn't
A-Rod
vote for
clearly
any
is.
first ballot guys unless they were first ballot guys on a matter of
Sacrosanct.
principle because it's sacrosanct.
Except
Except Joe Mauer.
The rules are looser for catchers
Except Joe Mauer.
and relief
Relief
pitchers.
pitchers, yeah.
I don't know
Gotcha.
what about that you don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, he said it over and over
You
again.
can vote for him
Get it
on
through your thick
the
skull.
first ballot and still question the fact that you voted for him, Dan.
You can vote for him on the first ballot and then criticize yourself for being someone who voted for him on the first ballot by saying, what an idiot that voter was by doing that.
Greg, wasn't the only unanimous player to get into the Hall of Fame a relief pitcher? Yeah, that's true. The rules are different for catchers and relief pitchers. Tell Dan again. I don't think he heard you.
Yeah, no, I think he gets it by now. You know, I think it's worming his way through his ear into his brain because it's totally understandable. And that's another good example is the Yankee guy.
Harold Baines.
The Yankee guy?
Who's the Yankee guy? You want to name him? You want to
I'm
name
going
him?
to take a quiz. Of course I know who it is.
Come on. Well, I'll sit here all day waiting for you.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's
sit
hold
here.
on. Let's lay
Okay,
out.
Mariano Rivera. Okay.
Who fed him that?
Good job, Lewis. Lewis, good job.
Gave it to
I
him.
appreciate you doing
All
that,
right,
bro.
I'm going to put Lewis in the penalty box.
No, nobody
yes,
said that to me.
yeah.
Major penalty, 5 minutes. Swooning comedy.
We could have been here all day. Harold Baines has a statue. I mean, Harold Baines.
That wasn't the line for Cody. Don Staley was.
Harold Baines should not have ever been let into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
And I want to make a point.
See if he voted for
Not
him.
even as a visitor?
No, I never voted for Harold Baines, and I want to make a quick point
Wants to see his friends.
on behalf of the BBWAA. The writers did not elect Harold Baines. He was elected by what used to be called the Veterans Committee, who lets everybody in. So it's a fractured electorate that puts people in Cooperstown, which baseball writers who have the first ballot are pretty pissed about that and should be.
Roy, what are you laughing about?
Lewis is angry at me, man. He just came to the door and stared daggers at me.
I don't know why he's not in the penalty box in confinement. I don't know why there would be any daggers, any eyes, or any Lewis wandering the premises.
Lewis did not say anything to me in my ear.
Can we see from you some of your other old T-shirts that we have here? And I want to see. Are you guys now conceding this before we get started? When Greg Cody goes OLI 2001, are all of you putting down your swords and saying we're not going to be able to beat Greg Cody on?
I think
me and Roy had no idea this was happening.
I think I have one. I have one that I feel good about.
Okay.
Let's see where Greg Cody is on this. You were still OLI, or you were?
No, this is number 2. I'm 3-2-1.
Okay, so you didn't have any OLIs.
No,
Okay.
because I was told 3.
You said you had 7.
I do, but then we were talking like give it top 3, and I'm doing what I'm told.
Right.
It's not my.
Now
not my.
Now we
yachts,
have
Captain.
time, and so you can have the OLI.
No, that's okay. Let's rush right through it. But, Tony, let's see some of your nominees here if you guys are afraid that Cody's got the punctuation on all of this.
So Greg has incredible longevity when it comes to old ratty things, right? Somebody in their 30s doesn't have the
correct
the je ne sais quoi.
He's got
of somebody
shirts
like
old. I believe he'll pull out a shirt that's older than you.
For sure. So I'm going to start with this NBA Miami Heat family 2012 champions drawstring bag.
That's good. That's older than Zaslow. You're already
decent.
Well, he's just embarrassing.
It's an
Zaslow.
accessory, though.
Yeah.
Zaslow was embarrassing in that he brought nothing earlier than 2016, so that didn't work in any way. Chris, let's see what you have. Give me some of what you have. OLI, or you're starting with number 3. Let's just get the best 3. The best. You start with.
Well, I have 3. I only feel I'm just gonna go with my best. I'm coming.
Your
out
best.
strong.
You're coming out with
Wow.
your best.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going a Dare shirt from elementary school.
Oh, nice.
Which is that's 90s, and I'm telling you, I think when I got this, it was so big on me that now it's snug and I can still wear it though.
Yeah.
I wear it around the house, and my wife always is just like, "You're not wearing that anywhere but here."
I
But yes.
love that. I remember you had that. 10 years later, you were smoking dope and bad-mouthing your country, but back then, it worked.
I was going to say, I don't think
good.
he was listening during those sessions.
I'm just kidding.
Smoking dope and what?
Bad-mouthing his country.
Which one is dope?
Why
That's
do you
just
think they call it dope?
Where does that saying come from? That's another thing you've been saying my whole life. Smoking dope and bad mouthing your country.
A friend of mine he put that phrase into my lexicon, and I've adopted it
I like
ever
it.
since. Yeah.
I like it.
Tony, what else do you have back there?
Dan, I've got a little towel from probably around 2008, 2009, Dominican Republic sponsored Miami Heat towel.
I like it.
So, 08,
remember
09,
that
I want to say around that time.
The Republic of the Dominican was supporting Heat basketball right before LeBron got here, when Dwayne Wade was fed up that Samaki Walker was his
They
teammate.
just missed it.
And they have it all. Look, Dominican Republic has it all. Izzy, what do you think?
Hey, they put a lot of money into this campaign. I remember it. It was quite impressive.
Our only proud Dominican here in the studio, correct? That's Izzy.
And Frankie.
Yes, I meant right here in the studio. Yes, thank you for
Never forget about Frankie, Dan.
my bad. Greg, what do you have here as the rest of what it is that you would produce for us?
Okay.
Are you going to end this competition right now, or are you going to end
well,
this? Or should we go to more Tony items so that he could show a little more of what he's got? He's got 3 more.
That's fine. Let him do it. I thought this was clothing only. If you want to talk about memorabilia, I got that out the ass. Are you kidding me? I mean, the clothing. The clothing is just the tip of the iceberg.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does Greg Cody have fossilized memorabilia falling out of his ass?
Next week we'll do artifacts with Greg.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Artifacts, Jack.
I've got a Miami Heat. I've got a Miami Heat playoffs that's got paint on it.
That's ratty.
Wow.
2014.
You don't wear that anywhere,
No,
right?
no. This is buried deep in one of my drawers.
That has to be a rag, is it not? That's something that's used with a mop.
It was used with paint, so somebody kind of went like this with paint on it.
Do you still have a relative who uses to mop the floor a shirt and a stick?
Un trapo, yeah. My cleaning lady does.
Who doesn't?
Shout out to Donnie.
I don't know.
It's the most effective way.
Greg, let's end this competition right after Tony gives us the last of what he's got here.
So I've got a classic, and a lot of people are going to probably never hear. This is the first time they're going to hear of this team ever. Okay, so you guys remember the ABA, right? They tried to make a comeback in the early 2000s, and I have in the inaugural game, the Florida Pit Bulls. I was there November 5th, 2005 for the Florida Pit Bulls to make their comeback in the ABA, player coached by Tim Hardaway Sr.
You will not wear that anywhere either, right? That's around the house, just walking around.
I won't even wear this in the house.
That's not even worn in the house. All right.
But Florida Pit Bulls, shout out to them.
Dale.
What's left of them?
Greg, what do you have here to end this competition?
Okay, this is authenticated by the holes in it and the moth bites and everything else. This is an original 1997.
Oh, he's got it.
Marlins World Series champions.
It's
you can see the holes.
Yeah, let me see that thing. Turn it this way.
Got a lot
Oh,
of holes.
wow.
Yeah, a lot of
Oh,
holes.
hold on a second.
Ball
Because
game.
I've got something like that.
Hold
I've got
on.
an official World Series championship shirt.
Whoa!
1997 from Pro Player Stadium with the Pro Player tag on it.
Yeah, but his has a hole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a hole.
You gotta have holes.
Mine's actually too nice to have a hole.
Too clean.
How old were you?
I was at this point probably 6 years old, 5, 6 years old.
That's an upset that Tony would have a shirt just as old as yours. Not an upset that yours would be in a lot worse shape and have holes, and his would be somewhat pristine and treated with care.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this was just my number 2. I have my number 1 waiting.
Oh, I thought.
wow.
Okay, I'm
You
sorry.
have something better
Wait a
than
minute.
that? Oh,
was
my God.
What a dramatic turn. He lured you out, Tony. That is a classic bait and switch from the veteran. He lured you out, and you're like, "Oh, I can tie you," and now he's going to drop the hammer on you.
This is. I'm dating it to either late 70s or very early 80s.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I cannot wait.
And the proof of its age is that it's a white T-shirt. I haven't worn a white T-shirt in 30 years. I wear only black T-shirts. This is a reggae T-shirt from Peter Tosh.
Oh wow!
The Equal Rights album, which came out in I'm just guessing 78 or something. And I think I bought this a couple of years later, so it's probably a 45-year-old shirt.
That's amazing.
Damn it. I thought I was winning this until that one.
No,
There
I mean,
are
yours
wrinkles
is
in
good.
that shirt older than the shirt that Tony just produced.
Yes. The wrinkles.
It is terribly wrinkled. Congratulations.
He died like 5 years before I was born.
Yes, that's correct, and that's why you lose.
Can't help that.
That album came out in '77, Greg.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is probably a circa 1980 type T-shirt.
So did I. 77.
Excellent work, Greg Cody. You went through your things, and this allows you to have the segment to yourself to talk about something that you care about, which is that journalism is not dead. And because you have won the T-shirt off, we are going to get you to celebrate that journalism is not dead.
A long, long time ago, Dan was a prodigy, and his writing used to make him smile. And he knew if he had his chance, he'd rat out for bogus Pell Grants and maybe learn from Cody for a while. But network money made him sell his soul. Now he shows all his bias to the Heat and now the Panthers. Dan's fake news, oh, have you heard? I can't remember if he cried when he told us with his face so wide that all his morals were a lie. The day journalism died. So Dan was saying Oh my, how I'd love to eat pie. Oh, but if it has some gluten, then I think I may die. I'll shoot my integrity straight into the sky, banging Panthers drums as a Cuban-born guy. Panthers drums as a Cuban-born guy.
Why is journalism dying or dead, or why is it not?
Journalism is not dead, and I'll tell you why. This Saturday in the Kentucky Derby, the most famous racehorse in the world, the racehorse that is a betting favorite is a colt named Journalism. And the reason the colt was named Journalism is that the owner of the syndicate was giving homage to the fact that he was a sports editor on his high school newspaper, as Greg Cody was, and all the years later he had a racehorse that he named Journalism, and that horse right now is fitting to win the Kentucky Derby if the odds are right.
Are they? That? Are they right?
I mean, I don't follow it that closely, but it's a betting favorite, a clear betting favorite. Like second is even a long shot. One of the horses is owned by the former major leaguer Jason Worth. He's got a good horse in the race, but Journalism lives in the Kentucky Derby.
The horse will win if the odds are right? I don't know what that sentence means.
That means if the odds say he's the favorite to win.
He's the betting favorite. That's the way to say that.
He'll win if he finishes first.
Journalism is the betting favorite.
Yes.
Can you guys just get me a photo, please, of the most unkempt of the Jason Worths there's ever been running the bases for the Philadelphia Phillies? Because I maintain that outside of the Lopez brothers, it's the scariest thing to see in the wilderness as a human being. If
Ed Orgeron.
I understand. I'm alleging that Jason Worth, circa last couple of Phillies years, and both Lopez brothers, led by Robin, Brooke in the back, that if they're running at you in, as the sun sets in the forest, that's the least of what it is that you want to see running at you.
Amen.